especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
Got the wrong guy. The dog was biting him.
He roughened him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
This is the next search on February 28, 2020, 7:44 p.m. How, does the FBI find people? The people's misspelled P-E-O-O-P-L-E.
I object.
Did the defendant find out how the FBI finds people in this case? Oh, she found out.
What more do you need to see?
All right, welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. Second try. It works like a charm every time. Welcome. A big shout out to Barbara T. First in chat today, Barbara. Congratulations, the internet is all yours, which is good because we're about to get back in court at a long lunch. Judge gave us an hour and a half. I re-primed the bathroom. Didn't paint, but the priming is now done because I missed a couple spots. So, didn't get the painting done, but we'll finish the painting tonight. Heater upstairs is blowing air at 102. I say heater because it sure isn't air conditioning. But the guy's going to be back here soon, so we'll see what happens. All right. Welcome. We're going to jump right to it because it's time. It's time to get back. Let's turn the music down just here for a little bit. And there we go. We've got our withdrawn counter up to 68. Only three more today than what we had before. But welcome back. Welcome to lunch or post-lunch. And I think we're ready to go. Judge is here. Perfect timing. Couldn't be any better.
All right, you may be seated. I just would like to address on the record, for purposes of the media, when we are in recess, there should be no videoing, and the recording should also be stopped as well. So just want to make sure that that's being adhered to. So thank you so much for that.
No more hot mics.
All right. Are we prepared with the next witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
So then I would at this time ask the clerk to bring the jurors in.
Sure.
Thank you.
So we definitely have to make a sound effect now. I'll get working on that. Oops. Christine Fortunato, member for 22 months. Thank you very much, Christine.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed your lunch.
It was great.
Counsel, please stipulate to the return of our jurors after lunch.
State will stipulate, Your Honor. Defense stipulate, Your Honor.
All right, thank you so much. All right, at this point in time, I would direct the state to call its next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. State would call Keenan Frasick to the stand.
Thank you.
Keenan Frasick? Is that what I heard? Everybody but the judge switched out as far as court staff. We got a complete new set today, which is all good. We rotate, I guess. What do you guys think of the calendars up on the wall? I think that's a little tacky. Is that...
Good afternoon. Please enter the witness stand. Please remain standing. And my clerk to my right is going to put you to oath, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Please raise your right hand, sir. Do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury? If so, please say I do.
I do.
Please state your name, spelling your last name, and address for the records.
Keenan Frasick, 16 Woodcrest Avenue.
123 Sesame Street.
FRA.
You get it backwards.
You may be seated. Thank you.
Yeah, that pinky looks like it was painful.
Good afternoon, Keenan. Good afternoon. Can you just do us a favor, sit close to that microphone. The acoustics in here are pretty bad, so the jury needs to hear what you have to say, okay? Keenan, how old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
And do you go to school?
I do.
Where do you go to
Central
school?
Connecticut State University.
And what are you studying?
Nursing.
And are you working for the summer?
I am.
What are you doing?
I'm working part-time at Bass Pro Shops and doing lawn work.
You know why you're here today?
I do.
Why are you here today?
To say my part in what happened leading up to and after the event.
Are you nervous to be here today?
Sure am.
I want to direct your attention to May 14th of 2022. How old were you back then?
16.
And did you go to school?
I did.
Where did you go to school?
St. Joseph High School.
And what year were you?
I was in my sophomore year.
So you're a rising junior?
Yes.
And are you familiar with an individual by the name of Jack Snyder?
I am.
How are you familiar with Jack Snyder?
Schoolmate.
At St. Joe's?
Yes.
Are you familiar with an individual by the name of Tyler De Silva?
I am.
And how are you familiar with him?
Schoolmate at St. Joe's.
And are you familiar with an individual by the name of Raul Valle?
I am.
And how are you familiar with him?
Schoolmate at St. Joe's.
Does he have a nickname?
He does.
And what is his nickname?
He was called Lito.
And is the defendant, is Raul present in courtroom today?
He is.
And what is he wearing?
Blue suit.
And can you please point him out for the record? Your Honor, may the record reflect the witness identified the defendant in this case?
This guy isn't big on complete sentences,
reflect
is
that
he?
the witness has identified Mr. Valle. Thank you.
Now, Keenan, I want to direct your attention to May 14th of 2022, specifically Madigan Leifer's house. Can you tell us what was going on at Madigan Leifer's house that night and what time you got there?
There was a party going on. A couple of grades mixed within the St. Joseph school community. We were all hanging out, having a good time, obviously drinking some alcohol. And I believe I got there around, I'd say 9 o'clock.
And were you drinking?
I was.
How much were you drinking?
3 beers.
And when we say beers, what kind of beer? Remember?
Busch Light.
Busch Light.
Bush.
And how long were you there? Well, withdrawn. At some point in time, when you were at Madigan Leifer's house, did individuals show up that you were not familiar with? Or are you aware that individuals showed up that you're not familiar with?
I am aware.
But you didn't see them?
Did not see it.
Around what time would you say, how long were you at Madigan Leifer's house between the time you got there and the time that you became aware that these individuals showed up?
I can't put an exact time on it, but it was around 1 to 2 hours.
Okay. So at some point in time, tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you were exactly doing aside from drinking alcohol. What were you doing at the party at the Leifer house?
Socializing with my friends, maybe playing some drinking games like beer pong, something of those sorts.
Do you know whether or not when you were there, whether or not Jack Snyder was at that party?
Jack Snyder was present.
And was Tyler De Silva there?
He was.
And was the defendant there?
He was.
Now, at some point in time, were you inside the house or outside the house when you were at this party?
Inside for most of the time.
At some point in time, did you exit the house for some reason?
I did.
And why did you exit the house?
My buddy named Ryan, he said he wasn't feeling well, felt uneasy, said he had to vomit. So I took him outside, went around the house into the back, and was with him while he was vomiting.
And when you were doing that, how long would you say you were out back with him for?
I'd say 20 minutes.
And after 20 minutes, did you return to the garage or driveway area of the home?
I did.
And when you did that, what, if anything, was occurring at that moment?
Nothing was occurring at that moment as we were driving, or I'd say walking around the house. We heard some shouting from a car from the driving past the road, and we're trying to figure out what was going on.
And did you, in fact, figure out what was going on?
We were informed.
Okay. And were you informed about a fight that had taken place?
We were informed.
You did not witness that fight?
Did not.
And at some point in time, shortly after that fight, did the party break up?
It did.
And can you please describe to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury the circumstances surrounding the party breaking up?
Can you repeat that?
Well, in other words, you got back, you heard about this fight. How long after did you hear about the fight that did the party break up?
Oh, within 20 minutes.
And how did the party break up? Did parents inform you that the party was over? How did that happen?
I don't believe it was the parents. The older sister was telling everybody to disperse and get out of the house. The party was over.
And so when the party was over, what, if anything, were you concerned about at that point in time?
Trying to get home.
And did you have a ride home at that point?
I did not.
And were you hanging out with anybody at the moment, at that moment, who also needed a ride home?
Yes.
And who was that?
Dmitri Aranis and Will Sinchwald.
And at some point in time, were you able to find a ride home?
Yes.
Now, prior to that, you recall seeing the defendant, Jack Snyder, at the house?
Yes. Yes.
I'll show you State's Exhibit 53. Can you identify the people in State's 53? This person in the red?
Jack Snyder.
And how about this person here with the helmet on?
Raul Valle.
The defendant?
Yes.
Now, at some point in time, you were able to find a ride from Lazy Brook?
I was.
And who offered you a ride?
Jack Snyder.
Okay. And was anybody else offered a ride at that point in time?
Yes, Dmitri Aranis was. He was planning from the beginning of the night to sleep over at my house after the party. And Will Sinchwald.
And at some point in time, did you get into Jack's car?
Yes.
Show you States 30. You recognize States 30?
That was a vehicle.
That's Jack's car?
Yes.
And when you got into that vehicle, who else got into the vehicle with you?
Jack Snyder was driving his car. Tyler Da Silva, Raul Valle, Demetrios, myself, Will Sinchwald, and Mackenzie Traficante.
Now, how do you know all those people?
We all went to school together at St. Joe's.
You were all St. Joe's students?
Yes.
Now, when you left Lazy Brook in Jack's car, did you know where you were headed?
We were going to Trumbull High.
Why were you going there?
To figure out where we were going to go after, whether it was a different party, hang out at somebody else's house. It was kind of just like a middle grounds almost to figure out where we were going to go next.
And did you, in fact, at some point get to Trumbull High School?
We did.
And when you got there, did you guys discuss what to do next?
Not really. When we got to Trumbull High, we met up with some other females that were at the party, and the whole group of people were split up, and Lido, Jack, and Tyler were talking amongst themselves, and I was talking to a different group of individuals, and so I had my own separate conversation.
So were you close enough where you could hear what the defendant was talking about with Jack and Tyler?
No.
How long would you say you were at Trumbull High School for?
I'd give it 20 minutes.
Okay. And when you were at Trumbull High School, did you have anything to drink between the time you left Lazy Brook and the time you got to Trumbull High School?
No.
Did you have anything to drink when you were at Trumbull High School?
No.
Now, after about 20 minutes, did you all get back into Jack's car?
We did.
And why did you do that?
Because everything was wrapped up and thought we were going home.
You thought you were going home?
Yes.
And did you leave Trumbull High School?
We did.
And when you left Trumbull High School, where were you headed? Did you think you were going home?
I thought we were heading home to my house with Demetrios.
At what point in time did you realize you weren't heading home?
So when we got out of Trumbull High, we took a right, and we were supposed to take a right, the next right, back into Trumbull, but we took a left into Shelton, and that's how I knew we were not going to my house.
And what town do you live in?
Trumbull.
So when you took the left to go into Shelton, was there any talk about where you're going? Drop me home, anything like that?
I assumed that we were dropping Mackenzie off because I knew she was from Shelton, but didn't know what part, didn't know where she lived.
At some point in time, did you pull up on a house in Shelton?
We did.
And do you recall what house that was?
The estate of Tyler Rich.
The
So your
estate.
state's 9. Is that the house that you guys pulled up to?
Yes.
Show your state's 49.
You pulled up to the Rich estate.
Aerial view, is that the Tyler Rich house that you pulled up to?
Yes.
Can you tell us in state's 49 where exactly you guys pulled up, if you can recall?
I can't exactly recall the road we came in on. I knew we were facing the direction of a cul-de-sac, and we were right in front of the driveway, and drove by, turned around at the cul-de-sac, and then went back towards the driveway.
And at some point in time, prior to arriving at Tyler Rich's house, were you aware of a group chat that was going on between some of your friends and some of the Shelton High School kids?
After the fact, I know about it now. I was not a part of that group chat, and there was no talk about that group chat, so no, I was not informed.
At some point in time when you pulled up to for Tyler Rich's house, did you witness anybody exit that house?
When we initially drove by,
Sure.
there were people outside.
And at some point in time, when you
26
stopped in
months.
front of the house, did people approach the car?
After we turned around the cul-de-sac, and we got surrounded by people.
And how many people would you say, were outside at any given time?
At least 20.
At least 20. And when they surrounded the car, can you tell us a little bit about how that interaction initially took place?
So initially, we got surrounded, and no, I believe they were on one side of the car, and
What side of the car were they on?
the driver's side. And everything was cordial at first, and then someone from the back shouted something, and then Jack Snyder replied back, and then things started getting out of hand, and the car got surrounded.
And when you say the things got out of hand, what kind of things were happening?
The tensions were escalating.
And when you say tensions, were people arguing?
They were.
At some point in time, did anything happen where was anything thrown at the car, or did anybody touch the car?
Yes, things were thrown, and the people were on the back of the car, bouncing on the rear bumpers. People were outside the passenger window, the backseat windows, banging on the windows.
And when that happened, what, if anything, happened next with regards to the car?
With regards to the car, things were just getting way too out of hand. I was pretty scared at the moment, and then I don't remember who shouted, but someone said go, and Jack Snyder hit the gas pedal, and we went.
And when you went, where did you go?
We went down the road, about 2-3 houses, but they're pretty spread out.
And in States 49, can you see where you went down the road?
Yes, towards the top of the image.
So somewhere in this area here?
Yes.
If the record can reflect, I'm pointing on the left side of on the right side of the picture towards the top of Laurel Glen. We're just before the intersection of Farmhouse Road and Laurel Glen.
Court will allow the record to reflect that.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mama. Thank you very much.
The car went up that way. What, if anything, happened when you were up there?
The individuals inside of the car got out, including myself, and some Shelton kids ran up, and they were talking with Lito, Jack, and Tyler Da Silva.
And who, if you can recall, who exactly got out of the car at that moment?
I don't remember.
Did you get out of the car at some point?
I did get out of the car at some point.
Why did you get out of the car?
Really because nothing good was happening there. Kind of walked into a trap and wanted to escape.
And you said other people from down the street ran down?
Yes.
And did they speak to any of you guys down the road?
They did not speak to myself, Demetrios, Mackenzie, or Will. We were sitting on the curb away from the car, and they were talking to Tyler, Jack, and Lito.
And when they were talking to Tyler and Jack, what was the tone of the conversation? Not what they said, but what was the tone of the back and forth?
At first, everything was cordial. And then it escalated a little bit.
Was there any arguing going on?
Not really too much shouting. I would say it was pretty cordial at first.
At some point, well, let me ask you this. Did you witness the Shelton kids interacting with the defendant and Tyler and Jack?
Yes.
And did you witness any physical altercation down the road when the kids came down the road? Was there any fighting, physical fighting?
No.
How long would you say the interaction was between your group of friends and the Shelton kids?
I'd give it 5 minutes.
Now, I want to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 44. Can you play the second thing? Yep.
Up and over the jury. Didn't see the exhibit. I think we've seen it before. There it is. All I know is somebody lost their cat. They're asking neighbors to help. That's all I could make out from this video.
Now, have you seen that before?
I have.
You've seen that in my office?
Yes.
Now, do you know whether or not that part of the video happens before you get out of the car or after you get out of the car?
I believe it happened before.
So you're kind of still in the car, a couple people get out or 3 people get out, walk down the road, you're in the car, and at some point, does Jack turn the car around and come back? How does that happen? Let us know
how I got to the curb area.
What's that?
How I got to the curb area.
Yeah. So based on that, if that happens before you get out of the car, help us understand when you get out of the car in relation to that exhibit.
That video was pretty much a blur. That's one part of the night.
Right.
It was new to me once you showed me that video. Didn't exactly remember or recall exactly how all those events went down. I can't say if I got out of the car before that happened or after that happened. But I know before the individuals went back, I was already out of the car with a couple of my friends who I arrived with sitting on the curb.
So when you say the individuals went back, are you referring to the kids from the Shelton group?
No, I'm referring to Jack, Lito, and Tyler.
Oh, okay. So, well, let me ask you this. At some point, this is a small picture or small video of what happened down the road, right? Mm-hmm. So at some point in time, you get out of the car with Will, Mackenzie, and Dmitri.
Yes.
And you sit on the curb?
Yes.
When you do that, is there an interaction between Tyler, Jack, and the defendant?
Yes.
Can you please explain what that interaction is like?
So the interaction was, first of all, it was agitated. The scene was tense. Lito was searching for a weapon in the car. He said, Jack, where is your knife? Where the F is your knife? And he was looking around in the glove box and the center console and did not find anything.
I'm sorry?
I did not see a knife.
How was the defendant reacting prior to looking for the knife?
He was on edge.
Why was he on edge?
Because he was upset he was upset from what happened to Jack's car.
And what kind of things was he saying to make you feel like he was upset? How was he acting?
It's going pretty insane. I'd say he was using vulgar language, cussing,
and swearing and saying bad words.
Jack, look what the F they did to your car.
And after he said, look what the F that they did to your car, that's when he asked Jack, where's the knife?
Yes.
He could be worried for his life.
How long would you say that was going on for down the street?
That they were searching?
Well, that the defendant was acting in an aggressive manner and cursing and going insane because of what happened to the car, and then looking for the knife.
No more than 30 seconds.
And you indicated that you did not see a knife?
I did not.
Do you know whether or not the defendant ended up finding a knife?
After the fact.
Right, but at the moment.
I assume he found a knife, but in the moment did not see a knife and believed for the rest of the night that he never found a knife because I never saw one.
Now, when you say that the three of them went back down the street, before they go back down the street, was there any talk about going back down the street by the defendant?
Yes.
What was he saying?
I don't remember the exact words they were saying, but there was conversation. I was too far away to hear the exact words, and they got back in and drove down.
Now, not telling us what either Jack or Tyler said, did any of those two individuals try to talk the defendant out of going back down the street?
Tyler did.
Now, at some point in time, you indicate that the car leaves to go down the street?
Yes.
Do you see who gets in Jack's car before going down the street?
Yes.
Oh.
Jack was driving, and Lido, and Tyler DeSilva.
And when the car goes down the street, how long would you say the car was down the street for before it returned?
No more than 5 minutes.
And when it was down the street, what if anything did you hear when it was down the street?
So it went down the street, and the four of us were talking amongst ourselves, trying to really figure out what was going on and how we ended up in the situation. And they drove down, and you can kind of hear the tires screech a little bit. And so you know the car is stopping. And you can't see it, but you can hear it.
There are other ways to stop.
One, because we were far away. Two, because it was dark. Three, there might have been something obstructing our view. You hear a lot of yelling, but it wasn't high-pitched yelling, which came next. It was more of a rowdy yelling, shouting. And then eventually it turned into a very high-pitched scream.
And after about 5 minutes of the yelling and then high-pitched screaming, did you witness the car return?
Yes.
And when the car returned, were you able to witness what Tyler DeSilva looked like?
Yes.
And what did he look like?
He was bleeding a lot, bruised everywhere. I asked him a simple question, and I didn't really get an answer, so he was just about unconscious.
And were you able to witness what the defendant looked like?
Yes.
And how did the defendant appear to you?
Shocked. He had like a shocked look on his face. Didn't look as battered as Tyler DeSilva was, nowhere near. But I wasn't inspecting him.
Now, at some point in time, when you, Will, Dmitri, and Mackenzie were waiting down the road, were you able to make arrangements to get another ride home?
Yes.
How did that come about?
So once we were sitting on the curb, Carolyn, who was Will's girlfriend at the time, was picking him up. So Will was getting his ride home. And by the time the car returned before I saw Tyler and Lido after what happened, Will was already gone. His girlfriend picked him up. So he was gone. It was just me, Demetrios, and Mackenzie. and Mackenzie asked us if we needed a ride, and her sister could bring us home.
And did you in fact get into the car with Mackenzie?
We did.
I think he's looking at the jury. That's the direction the jury's in.
Again, this is Exhibit 44. I want to have you watch real quick. Is that Jack's car taken off?
Yes.
And these individuals in the road getting into the car here, that's you and
Myself, Mackenzie, and Dimitrios.
and that's at about 11:55 at night.
Sounds about right.
You hear the high-pitched screaming in the background? Did you hear that?
I did not hear it.
So when Jack's car took off, do you know who left in Jack's car with him?
Tyler.
And who got into Mackenzie's sister's car?
So it was myself and Dimitrios and Mackenzie. And then I shut the door. And then after, Lito got in.
Lito got in, the defendant?
Yes.
And when he got in, where did he sit in the car? Do you remember?
Rear side or back right.
And where were you seated in the car?
Right next to him.
In the middle?
In the middle.
And on the car ride from, withdrawn, when you guys left Laurel Glen, who was the first to get dropped off?
Myself and Dimitrios.
And how long was the ride from Laurel Glen to your house?
Say 8 minutes.
And in that 8-minute ride, did the defendant say anything in the 8-minute ride over?
No.
In that 8-minute ride, were you able to observe whether or not he had any blood on him?
I did not see any.
Did it appear that he had been in a fight?
You can assume so.
But you didn't see, it didn't appear so?
No.
I have no further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Can't wait for Cross here. Been some spicy details. He was searching for a knife.
Cross-exam.
He doesn't know what he's talking about. That's why I didn't ask him. What?
Yeah. Good afternoon, Mr. Frasick.
Good afternoon.
We've never met before.
Nice to meet you.
We've never met before.
True.
Okay. You're nervous today.
Of course.
First time testifying in court.
It is.
Just going to go over with you some of your testimony, okay?
Sounds good.
Now, in this case, this isn't the first time that you've spoken about this particular matter, right?
No.
You mentioned you've met with the state's attorney a few times, correct?
Correct.
He showed you some videos, correct?
Correct.
He showed you these 2 videos that we saw today, correct?
Correct.
Have you also seen another video of the fight that took place in the front of Laurel Glen Drive?
No.
You've never seen the fight where Tyler De Silva is down on the ground?
No.
Hey, let's
Are you
show
aware that such a video exists?
I've heard chat about it.
There's been some chirping.
And in your case, you spoke, you gave 2 statements, right? You spoke with Detectives Iannotti and Nugent on May 16th.
Josh, thank you very much.
And again with Detective Bango and McPadden on September 1st, correct?
Yes.
You were telling us about being at 5 Lazy Brook Road earlier. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And you were invited to that party by whom?
I don't recall whom, but friends.
Did you see Austin Leifer there?
I did.
And what was Austin Leifer doing while you were there?
Drinking like everybody else.
And you told us that you had gone outside with somebody that was ill and throwing up. Do you remember that?
I do.
Was that Austin Leifer?
No.
Did you see Austin Leifer while you were outside?
No.
And you told us that you were there around 1 to 2 hours before these other kids who you said were uninvited arrived, correct?
Sounds about right.
And you were there for 1 to 2 hours, as well as Mr. Snyder and Mr. Valle and Mr. De Silva?
We were there roughly the same amount of time.
You didn't see anybody try to kick them out of that party?
Please rephrase that.
So you didn't see anybody try to tell them to leave that party while you were there for that 1 to 2 hours, did you?
You're talking about the defendant?
Yes, and Mr. Snyder and Mr. De Silva.
Well, once the party ended, that's when everybody in a whole was asked to leave.
Everybody was kicked out at that point?
Yes. Yes.
But before that?
No.
You didn't see anybody tell them that they had to leave?
No.
And you saw a photograph earlier that states Exhibit 53. You see that? Can you see that on your screen there?
No.
No.
It's Herbie.
Technical difficulties. Okay, you can see it now.
I do.
Is that photograph taken at the Leifer's house?
I believe so, yes.
Appears to be.
Yes.
Can you identify either of these two folks in the background?
Cannot.
But to the best of your knowledge, that was taken down there in the basement because you recognize the basement where you work, correct?
If it's from the same night, I assume it's the basement.
Well, do you recall these outfits being the clothes that they were wearing?
Yes.
And did you see Mr. Valle that evening wearing some sort of neck pillow around his neck?
I don't recall seeing that, no.
Do you recall seeing him wearing this motorcycle helmet?
No.
Okay. Does this banner on the back wall, does that look familiar to you?
I didn't pay too much attention to the decor.
Okay. Anything about that look to you like it's the basement where you were hanging out for 1 to 2 hours?
It's safe to say it is.
Okay. So you were there for 1 to 2 hours. This photograph you think was taken there in that basement. That's Mr. Valle and Mr. Snyder, correct?
Yes.
You don't recall anybody telling them, hey, you're not invited, you got to get out of here?
That never happened.
Okay. And while you were there, you were drinking Busch Light, you told us?
Yes.
You had 3 beers?
3.
3. And you said at some point you became aware that 3 uninvited individuals showed up. Did you actually see them show up?
No.
You were outside at that point?
My buddy was vomiting.
And what was your buddy's name again?
Ryan.
Ryan?
Ryan.
Was he also a St. Joe's student?
He was.
And you didn't see the fight that occurred in front of 5 Lazy Brook?
Did not.
Okay. But when you got back to the driveway, you said you saw a car go driving by and you heard some shouting coming from that car?
There was shouting.
What was the shouting?
F you, and then some vulgar language.
Some vulgar language, okay. Did that appear to be directed at anyone?
The people in the driveway.
And in the driveway, did that still include Mr. Snyder, Mr. De Silva, Mr. Valle?
I can't recall if they were in the driveway still or who was out there. I would assume so.
And at that point, you told us you were concerned about trying to get home, right?
Yes.
And you had with you Dmitri Aranis, who had been planning to sleep over at your house that night.
Yes.
And Will Sensual, right?
I don't know if Will was supposed to sleep at my house. I can't recall what our plans with Will were, but if he needed someplace to sleep, it would have been my house.
Okay, he was a friend of yours.
He was.
And the 3 of you were offered a ride by Jack Snyder.
Yes.
Had you ever ridden with Jack Snyder before?
Not to my knowledge.
Was he somebody that you were close with?
In school, yes.
Tyler DeSilva, was he somebody that you were close with?
In school, yes.
And Raul Valle, was he somebody that you were close with?
In school, yes.
When you say in school, what does that mean exactly?
Like, we wouldn't go out of our ways to hang out with each other outside of school.
Okay. But on this night, at least, you happened to be at the same party.
Yes, we'd see each other at numerous parties before.
Okay. And so when you got into Jack's car, it was yourself, Jack Snyder, Tyler DeSilva, Raul Valle, correct?
Yes.
Dimitrios, Will Senjwald, and Mackenzie Traficante.
Sounds right.
And so there were 7 of you in that Pilot. Is that fair to say?
In the clown car.
Anybody else?
No.
And when you were in the car, what did it sound like in the car?
Vroom, vroom.
There was no music played.
No music playing?
No.
So you could hear everybody talking?
No.
Okay. Where were you seated?
In the back.
In the back as far as the trunk area, or in the back as far as the row
Not in the
seats?
trunk area.
So the row of
in the
seats
seating.
directly behind the
seating.
passenger and the driver.
Yes.
And which end of that seat were you on?
I don't remember.
Were you by a door?
I don't remember. I was in the back row of seats.
Who were you sitting beside?
I don't remember. I just remember Jack was driving and the 6 other individuals, including myself, were in the car.
Do you remember Dimitrios being in the trunk area?
That I do remember.
Okay, why do you remember that in particular?
Because when we were surrounded outside the Rich House, I looked back to him and said, we have to get out of here.
Was he the only one that was in the trunk area?
Will Sinjwal could have been, but he was in the car.
Okay. And you were shown a photograph showing you State's Exhibit 30. I'm trying to show you State's Exhibit 30. There we go. And you identified that as the vehicle that you were riding in, correct?
It was a Honda Pilot.
And when you got in the vehicle that night, it did not have this shattered windshield, did it?
When I initially got in?
When you initially got in.
It did not.
And you told us that you went over to Trumbull High School at that point, right?
We did.
And you met up with some girls there, you said?
Yes.
Were those also girls from the party that you had just been at?
Yes.
Okay. How did you know to meet up with them there at Trumbull High School?
Outside the Lifer household, everybody was piling into cars to try to find rides home. And we ended up mutually going to Trumbull High.
Okay. Was that a sort of known meetup spot?
No.
You saw 2 other folks there that night too, right? Not just the girls. There was a car with 2 gentlemen in it, right?
Yes.
Do you remember who they were?
Yes.
Who was that?
I know one of them was in there, Shane. Coach.
And was one of them Mike Bagley?
Sounds about right.
Okay. And they were in a white BMW?
Yes.
And how do you know those 2 individuals?
I grew up with them.
Were they also students at St. Joe's?
They were students at Trumbull High School.
Okay, they were students at Trumbull High. The other 2 girls, though, they were students at St. Joe's.
Which girls are you referring to?
The 2 girls that you met at Trumbull High School.
I believe so, yes.
And when you got to Trumbull High School, did you tell us that everybody got out of the car?
Mostly everybody got out of the car. Can't exactly remember how it all happened, but people were scattered.
Okay. And how long did the ride from 5 Lazy Brook to Trumbull High School take?
A few minutes.
3 or 4, 5 or 6?
5 or 6.
5 or 6 minutes. No drinking in the car on the way there?
No.
Was there alcohol in the car?
There could have been. I don't recall.
You didn't see anybody drinking?
No.
You didn't drink yourself?
No.
How do you know?
And you said you stayed there for about 20 minutes, right?
Sounds about right, yes.
And then you got back into Jack's car and you thought that you were going home to your house, right?
Yes.
Because Jack had told you that he was going to be your ride home, right?
Because my ride, when I got to the Lifer household, left. So I didn't have a ride. Jack said he could bring me home.
Okay. And everybody got back into the car at that point, right?
The 7 individuals that were in the car leaving the Lifer household got back in the car.
Okay. And
is there like a
nobody
check
said
in the jury
where you were going at that point? You just told us you assumed that you were going home, right?
I assumed I was going home with Dimitrios and Will, or maybe Will was getting dropped off after. My house, compared to everybody else, is the closest to Trumbull High. So I assumed I was going home first.
Gotcha. Nobody said, hey, we're going somewhere else, right?
Not that I remember.
And I think you told us that you, while you were there, well, who were you talking to while you were outside of the car at Trumbull High School?
I can't recall everybody I talked to or even who I talked to. It just wasn't, I wasn't talking to Lito, Jack, and Tyler.
Okay. So you said they were somewhere among themselves?
That sounds right.
Did you see them or you just assumed that?
It was safe to assume.
Okay. So you didn't see them?
I saw that they weren't with me. Well, so that means they have to be together.
His lawyer must be in the room.
But you didn't actually see them together is what I'm asking.
I wasn't focusing my attention on them.
I understand that. You were talking to other people.
Yes.
I'm just saying you assumed that they were somewhere together, but you didn't actually see them somewhere together, did you?
They were at the car.
Oh, you saw them at the car?
Yeah.
Where were they at the car?
I can't recall if they were inside or outside, but I was not near the car, so I wasn't with them.
Okay. So you don't have a clear recollection of seeing them together at the car, right?
Yes.
Okay. That's, yes, you don't have a clear recollection, right?
Please repeat that.
You said yes, and it was either you do have a clear recollection of them being at the car or you don't have a clear recollection.
Yes, I have a clear recollection they were at the car.
You have a clear recollection of seeing them at the car?
Yes.
You just said that they could have been in the car, they could have been out of the car. Were they in the car or out of the car?
It's been 3 years.
I'm sorry?
It's been 3 years.
I understand that, sir. I'm just asking you what your recollection is. You said they could have been in the car, they could have been out of the car. Now you're telling me you have a clear recollection. Were they in the car? Were they out of the car?
I guess my recollection's not clear enough. They were around the car.
Okay.
Around the car would have been out of the car.
Do you recall what they were doing when they were around the car?
Most likely chatting.
Not what were they most likely doing, sir? What do you recall them doing when you've told us now that they were around the car?
Chatting.
You saw them chatting?
Yes.
What did you see in their hands?
I don't recall seeing anything in their hands.
You sure you're not assuming that they must have been there because you don't recall seeing them with your groups of friends that you were talking to?
I'm going to object based on it's a little argumentative.
I'm going to overrule it.
I'm going to ask you to repeat that, please.
Are you sure that you're not assuming that they must have been by the car because you don't recall seeing them with the groups of friends that you were with?
So where we were near the baseball field at Trumbull High. The car was parked maybe 20 feet away. We were sitting near a curb or talking to a car near the curb. So they were in our point of view. So yes, I saw.
Okay, so you did see them at the car?
Yes.
You saw them inside the car?
Objection asked and answered.
I'll allow the follow-up. There's been some confusion. Go ahead.
They were in the car.
Not outside the car?
They were in the car.
They were in the car?
They were in the car.
Windows up or windows down?
I don't recall.
And when you left the parking lot at Trumbull High School, you said you knew that you weren't going to your house because the car took a left to Shelton, right?
Yes.
And you live in Trumbull.
I do.
And at that point, you said you assumed that they were going to drop off Mackenzie because you knew she lived in Shelton, right?
Yes.
And nobody said, hey, we're leaving right now and we're going somewhere, correct?
No, nobody said that.
The car just started following this direction, right?
Yes, I assumed that was going home.
And there was another car following you, right? The white BMW?
There was.
And that was Shane Kocher and Mike Bagley's car?
They don't share a car. I believe it was Shane's car.
Okay. It was Shane's car. Mike Bagley was with him.
Yes.
And you saw them following you?
They were going to follow me.
And how long was the ride from Trumbull High School to Tyler Rich's house?
More than 5 minutes.
More than 5 minutes? Less than 10?
I don't recall the exact time frame, but it was more than 5 minutes.
Had you been there before?
I have not.
And you said that initially the car came up to 43 Laurel Glen but drove by it, right?
Yes.
When you drove by, you could see that there were people already outside of 43 Laurel Glen?
Yes.
How many people?
I can't put an exact number on it, but it was less than the amount of people that surrounded the car once we turned around.
Okay, and you said that was at least 20 people, right?
Yes.
Could have been as many as 30?
Could have been.
And so when you drove by the house the first time, was it 10 people in the yard, 15 people in the yard?
I can't put an exact number on it.
Was it 5 people in the yard?
Objection asked and answered.
Sustained.
5 would be an exact number.
You drove by, you saw these people in the yard, and then the car turned around at the cul-de-sac. Was that down at Farmhouse Lane where the car stopped later on?
I'd have to look at a map, but we drove by the Rich house and turned around.
Mr. Frasick, I don't mean to surprise you, but I'm going to come around you now and show you what is on the easel. State's Exhibit 1. And see if that can help us a little bit, okay? You got a pointer right there beside you.
Use the red end, then we can all see what we're doing.
All right, do you see the red dot? Yes. Does that look like 43 Laurel Glen that we saw in the other pictures?
It does.
And did the car that you were riding in come up Adams Drive and turn left onto Laurel Glen?
I don't recall the exact route we took in.
Okay. But at some point you went past 43 Laurel Glen, right?
We were in front of Laurel Glen and then turned around at the cul-de-sac.
And when you say turned around at the cul-de-sac, which cul-de-sac are you describing using that Exhibit 1 in front of you?
There's only one up there.
Okay. So you went down to the end of Adams Drive and turned around?
Yes.
And that is different than the other end of the street where you have the intersection with Laurel Glen and Farmhouse Lane, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you were in the vehicle and it drives past, you can see people in the yard, go up to the end of Adams Drive, car turns around, right?
Yes.
Okay. And at that point, where did the vehicle go?
After we turned around?
Yes.
It was back out in front of the Rich household.
And when you say back out in front of the Rich house?
In front of the driveway.
Blocking the driveway so that cars couldn't get out?
I don't believe it was blocking the driveway, but it was in the road.
Okay. I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 49. Can you see that up on your screen?
Yes.
Okay. And can you describe for us using this picture where that car parked?
Where the driveway meets the road, but in the middle of the road.
In the middle of the road?
It was not in the driveway.
Not in the driveway?
Yes.
Closer to the other side of the street or closer to the driveway?
I can't recall.
And then at that point, the car stopped, correct?
Yes.
And you said that at least 20 people surrounded the car, right?
Not at first.
Okay.
They were on the driver's side.
Okay. How many people were there at first on the driver's side?
Under 20.
Under 20.
Yes.
More than 10?
Yes.
And you said at first they were only on the driver's side and that at first it was peaceful.
Yes.
What was peaceful about it? Can you describe what was happening?
There wasn't any shouting. I would say that's peaceful.
Okay. Were people talking?
Yes.
Were the windows rolled down?
Mine was not. I believe the only window rolled down was the driver's side window.
When you say yours was not, where were you?
In the back.
And you were near a window? You were up against a door?
I don't recall, but I was in a back seat, and the nearest window would have been one of those two windows in the back.
Was there any music on inside the car as you drove there?
I can't recall.
And you said people were talking, correct?
Amongst themselves.
When you say amongst themselves, is that within the vehicle itself or between the two groups?
When we were surrounded, yes. Or when they're on the driver's side, like that time?
When they're on the driver's side and you've described it as being peaceful and people were talking.
Yep.
Who was talking? Was that within the car or was that between the two groups?
It was between the two groups.
Okay. Did you hear any threats being made?
At first, no.
Did you see any weapons?
No.
And then you said things started getting out of hand, right?
Sounds right.
You described tensions were escalating, right?
Sounds right.
And was Mr. Valle uttering threats at that point?
I can't recall Mr. Valle talking at that point.
You don't recall Mr. Valle talking to any of the people outside the vehicle, is that fair to say?
Fair.
And do you recall where Ms. Trafficante was?
Can't recall. She was in the car.
She was in the car.
She was.
Was she sitting on Mr. Valle's lap?
I can't exactly recall.
Your attention was directed to the people outside the vehicle that were becoming more aggressive. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And you've described that things were being thrown at the vehicle?
Things were thrown.
Do you know what was being thrown?
Objects.
What kind of objects?
Hard objects.
Hard objects. Do you know, can you describe any of those objects?
I can't.
How did you know they were hard objects?
Because it made a loud sound.
As they hit the car?
Yes.
Did you hear glass shatter?
I did not.
You said that people were on the back of the car?
Yes.
Like on the bumper?
On the bumper.
Standing on it?
Standing on the bumper.
Bouncing up and down?
Bouncing up and down.
You could feel that inside the vehicle?
If someone's bouncing on the bumper, the car bounces. So
How
yes.
many people were on the back?
I can't put a number on it.
More than one?
I can't remember.
I'll allow it.
You can't put a number on?
No.
There were people on the passenger side as well at this point?
Once things got out of hand, yes.
Once things got out of hand, as you've described it, in fact, the car was completely surrounded, right? People on all sides?
Yes.
At least 20 people at that point?
Yes.
Could have been more?
Could have.
And you said you were pretty scared?
I was.
What did you think those people were going to do to the car?
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustained.
What was scary about that to you?
You're 7 people trapped inside a car. People banging on it, throwing things at it, bouncing the car.
You weren't driving the car, right?
No.
You had no ability to make that car move, did you?
Did not.
Why didn't you just get out the door and walk away from the vehicle at that point?
Because there was an individual right outside my window.
And what was that individual right outside your window doing?
Banging on the car.
Banging on the door?
Yes.
How many people were on the passenger side at that point?
This is good.
More than I could count.
People in front of the vehicle as well?
Yes.
And could you hear a rumbling sound of fists and feet kicking and punching the vehicle?
I wouldn't call it rumbling. I can't remember the exact sound, but you could definitely hear the car being hit.
Did anybody get on the front of the car and bounce up and down like they did on the back?
I don't believe so.
Did you see anybody reach into the driver's side of the vehicle?
No.
You didn't see anybody put their body into the driver's side of the vehicle?
I don't recall seeing any of that.
Do you recall any sort of struggle between the driver, Jack Snyder, and anybody from the group?
No, I was too focused on what was going on around me. I didn't have enough time or the attention to look in front of me.
You said at that point you're pretty scared and someone said go, right?
Someone within the car did.
Someone in the car said go.
Someone outside of the car wouldn't tell them to go.
I'm sorry?
Someone outside of the car wouldn't tell Jack Snyder to go.
Somebody outside the car would not tell Jack Snyder to go?
Yes, it would not make sense.
So somebody in the car said go, you felt the gas be hit, and the car starts going down the road, right?
Yes.
Did you have a sense of relief at that point?
I don't remember how I was feeling, but I was not happy.
Still scared?
Yes.
Terrified?
That's a good way to put it.
And you said towards the top of the photo you were shown, which showed the intersection of Laurel Glen Drive and Farmhouse Lane, the vehicle stopped, right?
It did.
And you saw on the Ring video people chasing the vehicle down there, correct?
That's what the video showed, yes.
Do you recall that?
I can't recall it. That's just a blank.
Just a blank?
Yes.
So you don't recall while the car was going down towards Farmhouse Lane that things were being thrown at the car?
I don't remember any of that.
You don't recall being chased?
I must have been in some sort of shock where that part is just a blur. All I remember is getting back on the curb.
Was that, could you identify yourself as one of those people who got out of the car there and sat on the curb?
I was within the 4 people that sat on the curb.
So you say you were within the 4 people. You saw in that video that some people get out of the car, but the car itself continued to move, correct?
That's what the video looked like, yes.
Did you get out of the car before it continued to move?
I can't recall that.
So you don't know if you were one of those people that initially got out before it moved?
No.
And when you got out of the car and you went and sat on the curb, where were you as far as using Exhibit 1 there behind you? Can you show us where you sat? If you still have the pointer there, that might be helpful.
I believe we're around this area.
Can the record reflect, Your Honor, that the witness is pointing to the area just in front of what has been identified before as 36 Laurel Glen?
Court will allow the record to reflect that information. Thank you.
And which side of the road did you sit on?
After driving away from the Rich household, I was on the right side of the road.
You were on the right side of the road. So you were closest to that house, 36 Laurel Glen Drive, as opposed to the other side of the road?
Yes, I can't put a number on the house, but I remember there was a house behind us.
Okay, and you were on the side where the house was, right?
Yes.
And who was there with you when you were there by that house?
Mackenzie, Demetrios, and Will.
So there's 4 of you there. How close are you to one another?
Pretty close.
As like you could reach out and touch all of them?
I probably could have.
And when you were there, where did the car go, the Pilot that was driven by Jack Snyder?
It went back towards the Rich household.
I'm sorry?
It went back towards the Rich household.
So immediately after you got out, the car turned around and went back?
The car was stationary.
So the car was stationary. Where was it when you were sitting on the curb?
I can't recall how far away it was, but it was within view.
It was within view?
Yes, it was.
Can you point out on Exhibit 1 there where that car was?
I cannot.
You can't?
No.
Do you see the intersection there on Laurel Glen and Farmhouse Lane?
I do.
Was it at the intersection?
I can't recall.
So you don't know if it was beyond that intersection?
I can't recall.
You can't recall how far away that car was?
No.
And while you were sitting on the curb, you told us that the cars moved some distance away, but you can't tell us how far away it was. But you did see some Shelton High kids come running up from the direction of 43 Laurel Glen. You recall that?
Yes.
How many kids were coming running up?
Can't put an exact number on it. I'd say less than 5.
Less than 5. Did you stay in this tight group of 4 throughout the course of while you were in front of that house, or did people split up a little bit?
I can't recall. They might have split up.
You told us before that you felt like you'd walked into a trap.
Sounds right.
And you said that you were sitting on the curb away from the car and you couldn't hear what was being said between the Shelton High kids and the other kids from St. Joe's, right?
I couldn't hear the exact words. You could obviously hear that they're talking. Can't make out the words. But yes, they were talking.
You said at first everything was cordial, right?
It was.
And then it escalated.
It did.
But you couldn't hear what was being said.
No.
And the car was still stationary at that point?
It was.
You don't know how far away it was?
Nope.
You didn't see any fighting going on between those groups?
I did not.
Did you ever see Mr. Valle over, if you're looking at Exhibit 1, just before the house where you've described yourself as sitting, you see there's an area where there are some woods or some bushes there?
Yes.
Did you ever see Mr. Valle in that area?
If you don't mind, are you talking about this area over here?
No, sir. Remember where you described yourself as being? Okay, and look, if you would, just before that house, on the same side where you described yourself as sitting. Sorry, just that. There we go. See that area of bushes?
Yes.
Did you ever see Mr. Valle over there?
No.
Because he was down some direction away from that by the car, according to your recollection, right?
Yes.
You never saw anybody spray Mr. Valle in the face with anything?
No.
You never saw a can of PB Blaster being thrown?
No.
And you think that that lasted about 5 minutes down there, correct?
Yes, it was pretty cordial.
It was pretty cordial, but then you said it escalated.
It did.
What was the nature of the escalation?
I believe it was between Mr. Rich and Ty Da Silva. It turned into louder shouting, and then it almost looks like one's trying to calm another down. It looks like Tyler was trying to calm down Tyler Rich, who was pretty hot.
So now you can tell us that, in fact, you could identify 2 of those people that you saw down there as being Tyler Rich and Tyler Da Silva.
I know it was those 2 people.
How do you know Tyler Rich?
I know his name from social media, I'd say.
And Tyler Rich was one of the as many as 5 kids from Shelton High that you saw down there.
He was among them.
Could you identify any of the other kids that were down there from Shelton High?
I could not.
Did you see Mr. Valle interacting with Mr. Rich?
Maybe they were chatting, but I can't put a definite on that.
Okay, so you couldn't tell us that you saw Mr. Valle chatting.
Mr. Valle,
Mr. Rich.
Mr. Da Silva, and Jack Snyder were together.
They were together. Which way was the vehicle facing at that point?
I can't recall which way.
Did you see brake lights or did you see headlights?
I don't know.
Were the doors open or closed?
I don't know.
You saw Mr. Valle, Mr. Da Silva, and Mr. Snyder all outside of the car together.
All 3 of them were outside the car.
Which side of the car were they on?
I can't tell you that.
Were they moving around from place to place?
I don't remember.
The vehicle stayed down further away from you in this stationary position, correct?
Yes.
Until at some point you saw 3 people get back into it and the vehicle drove back to 43 Laurel Glen Drive, right?
Yes, 3 individuals got in the car and drove back to Laurel Glen.
And you, Mackenzie, Demetrius, and Will were still on the curb in that same spot.
We were still on the curb.
Did you ever get up and move around to get closer to see what was going on down there?
When they went back?
No, when this was going on, what you've described down as the intersection with the Shelton High kids and the...
I can't recall. I believe we were on the curb.
You think you were just sitting on the curb?
Yes.
And then you said you heard Mr. Valle say to Jack Snyder, "Where's your knife? Where the fuck is your knife?" Right?
That did happen.
That's the only thing that you heard while you were seeing this interaction go on, that you told us you could not see or hear what else was going on?
No, you didn't ask me when I heard about the knife.
Okay.
It was, I can't put an exact time frame on it, but it was when I was either in the car, just outside the car, but it happened before the 3 of them went back, and it happened after the 7 of us arrived initially on Laurel Glen.
Sometime between the time that you first got there and were surrounded.
Yes.
And the time that they went back to the house.
Yes.
That's as close as you can tell us when you claim to have heard this.
Yes.
I believe this mug was from John Davenport.
So you could have been in the vehicle when you heard this, or you could have been on the curb when you heard this?
I don't think I was on the curb, because I saw with my eyes he was looking in the glove compartment and the center console.
Mr. Valle was seated in the back seat?
I don't know.
Well, sir, who was driving the car?
Jack Snyder.
And Tyler DeSilva was the front passenger, was he not?
He could have been. I don't remember.
So how was Mr. Valle looking in the glove box?
But if Lido Valle was seated in the back seat, your recollection is that he was in the glove box looking for a knife.
If he happened to be in the back seat, I think it's within an arm's reach, the center console in the glove compartment. But I do not know if he was in the shotgun seat or in the back.
This Honda Pilot, do you recall it being, the interior being somehow different than the typical car where the glove box is right in front of the passenger?
Can you repeat that?
Sure. Was there something different about this Honda Pilot that the glove box was not directly in front of the passenger?
You had a centrally
I don't believe
located
so.
glove
I
box.
believe it was a normal car.
But your recollection is that Mr. Valle was able to reach into the glove box and was tearing the whole place apart trying to get it.
The glove box and the center console were being rummaged through.
And you said that he was on edge and he was looking for the knife because he was upset from what happened to Jack Snyder's car, right?
I don't know exactly why he was looking for it, but he was searching for it.
Well, you told us he was in the glove box, he was on edge, he was upset from what had happened to Jack Snyder's car.
He was
telling us
upset.
that?
He was upset.
Right. So this must have occurred after you had already gotten there and the car had been surrounded, right?
Sounds right.
Okay. So did it happen as the car was driving from in front of 43 Laurel Glen to down where you got out of the vehicle?
Sounds about right.
Okay, so now you can tell us, oh, actually, you know what? That is what happened. It was while we drove from 43 Laurel Glen down to 36.
No, that's you narrowing it down, and it sounds right.
It sounds right. Are you just agreeing with me to agree with me, or do you have a
No, he
recollection?
wouldn't be rummaging through a glove box if there was nothing going on Like when we were just approaching, he would not be rummaging through a glove box.
Do you recall the vehicle moving while he was, as you put it, rummaging through the glove box?
Cannot recall.
Do you recall him leaning up into the glove box area?
I cannot recall.
But you recall him being in the glove box?
The glove box was opened and the center console was opened.
You saw those things happen?
Yes.
He keeps looking back at the exact same location. It's got to be his lawyer.
Okay. Did you see Mr. Snyder pull the knife out of the console?
No.
Did you ever see Mr. Snyder with the knife?
No, I never saw a knife.
You never saw the knife?
Never saw a knife.
Of Mr. Snyder, Mr. De Silva, and Mr. Valle, who did you know best?
I can't tell you that. I don't know. They were all friends.
They were all friends?
They're all equal.
Yes.
How long had you known Mr. Snyder?
Since freshman year.
How long had you known Mr. De Silva?
Freshman year.
And how long had you known Mr. Valle?
Freshman year.
All since freshman year?
Yes.
You were a sophomore at this point?
Yes.
So you'd only known them for about 2 school years?
Sounds right.
Never knew them before that?
No.
And you're certain that this occurred while you were in the vehicle?
I said in or around.
In or around?
Yes, I could have been just outside the vehicle, but I was able to see it.
So when you say in or around, you mean you might have been in the vehicle and you saw him going into the glove box, or you might have been outside the vehicle on the curb and you saw him go in the glove box?
No.
Okay.
I was not on the curb when this occurred.
You're sure of that now?
Yes.
What do you mean when you say around the vehicle?
Within 2 feet outside the car.
So you were outside the car, possibly?
I said I could not recall whether I was inside or outside.
And you were within 2 feet. You couldn't tell us how far away that car was before. But now you're saying that when this happened, you were either in the car or you were outside of it, but only within 2 feet of it.
The knife, looking for the knife or a knife, did not happen when I was on the curb.
Well, when did it happen?
When I was either in the car, because I saw it with my own 2 eyes.
Either when you were in the car would imply that there is an or, and you've told us before, or when you were outside of the car, right?
Possibly could have been once we drove away and we were all starting to get out of the car. Then I went and sat on the curb. But it was before I sat on the curb, before they went back, and it happened after we arrived.
So you can't be certain of where you were when this happened, is that fair to say?
I can be certain that I saw it with my 2 eyes.
You can't be certain of where you were when you saw it with your 2 eyes, is that fair to say?
I was within 2 feet of the car, if not in the car.
When you're down in front of that house, was the car only 2 feet away from you?
Sorry, this is painful.
When we're where?
When you were down in front of the house where you described getting out on the curb, was the car only 2 feet away from you now?
When I was on the curb?
Yes.
I told you I couldn't put a number on the exact feet I was from the car, but it was further than 2 feet.
Further than 2 feet, right? So
Yes.
far away that you couldn't hear what was going on down there, you told us.
That's what I said, yes.
This guy needs to learn English.
But you think that you could see the glove box rummaging going on?
Like I said before, it did not happen when I was on the curb. When I was on the curb, that's when Tyler Rich and everybody came over and they were talking. So it happened before I went and sat on the curb.
It happened either when you were in the car, right? Or when you were outside of the car, right?
Not on the curb, though.
But you can't tell us
I
which
said
of
I was
those two it
within
was.
2 feet.
And in fact, you told us you never saw a knife that night, right?
Never saw him.
But you heard about it afterwards, right?
What do you mean by that?
Well, you told us afterwards you came to learn that there was a claim of a knife being involved, right?
When the police contacted me, yes.
Ah, so the police told you, hey, there was a knife involved, right?
Objections to what the police told them.
Sustained.
You learned from the police that they thought there was a knife involved, right?
Objection to
Sustained.
That's when I got clarification.
Okay. And then you told us that the four of you, that being Mackenzie Traficante, Will Sinjwal, Demetrius Arfanos, you were talking amongst yourselves down there, right? The vehicle left.
Yes.
You could not see the car, but you could hear some yelling going on, correct?
Correct.
You heard a high-pitched scream, you told us, correct?
Correct.
And then the car returned, right?
It did.
And at that point, you were how far away from the vehicle?
We got up and approached the vehicle.
Okay. And so you were close enough that you could see that Tyler De Silva was bleeding, right?
Yes.
Bleeding a lot, you said, right?
Profusely.
Bruised everywhere, right?
Sounds right.
And I think you described him as being just about unconscious, right?
That's what I said.
And you said you could also see Mr. Valle?
I could see him. I was not inspecting him.
Where was he?
In the car.
Where?
I can't tell you exactly.
You don't know if he was in the passenger side or in the back seat?
I know Tyler De Silva was in the back seat.
Tyler De Silva was in the back seat?
Yes.
You don't know where you saw Mr. Valle?
No.
Could have been in the back seat?
Could have.
Could have been in the passenger seat?
He could have.
Could have been driving?
No.
No. Who was driving?
Jack Snyder.
The whole time, right?
I did not go down there and see what happened, but it's safe to assume so, yes.
You didn't see anybody else drive that vehicle that night, right?
No.
That was Jack Snyder's car, right?
It was.
And you said that Mr. Valle looked shocked, correct?
Yes.
You said he did not look as battered as Mr. De Silva.
I did say that.
But he looked battered.
He didn't look as bad as Mr. De Silva, but it also looks like he didn't, like nothing happened to him. Like he looked like he was in a fight.
Looked like he was in a fight. Looked like he'd been punched in the face.
I can't tell if he was punched in the face. I was not inspecting him like that.
When you say he looked like he'd been in a fight, what do you mean?
Shocked, exhausted, could have been bruising. But my attention was more towards Mr. De Silva.
You heard Mr. Valle say that he was on his back.
I did.
That he'd been on the ground.
Object. That's calls for hearsay. It's a late objection, but as to what the defendant said.
This is what Mr. De Silva said.
No, Your Honor, this is what Mr. Valle
Mr.
said.
Valle said.
It's hearsay.
It is hearsay. It's
Yes,
it's
that'd be
a
stricken.
statement of the defendants.
it's your client's statement. It's not opposition. I'll sustain the objection based on the hearsay.
Ask that it be stricken from the record, please.
Court will strike it from the record.
Your Honor, may we have sidebar?
Certainly.
Okay, sorry. I just got a phone call that I thought was a spam phone call. It turned out it was my 401k advisor. So I had to apologize how I treated him. Took it off the air, but I was still in character, I guess you could say.
Let me just take a moment to clarify. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court did strike the last response from the record. And again, the attorney's question is not to be considered evidence. Thank you.
Hearsay's tough. It's tough.
You described him as being not as
this
battered
guy.
as Mr. De Silva, but you admit you weren't inspecting him, so to speak.
Yes.
At that point, Mr. Sinjwald got a ride from Carolyn Takis,
Yes.
and Madison Traficante came to pick you up, correct?
Yes, simultaneously.
I think all
It
the
was
civil
about an
suits and stuff
8-minute
are the
ride to your
problem.
home, right?
Sounds about right, yes.
And you were sitting right beside Mr. Valle, correct?
I was.
Were you inspecting him at that point?
No.
Was there any music on in the car at that point?
We were
believe so,
singing
yes.
Taylor
Loud
Swift,
music?
I think. Taylor Swift. Yeah.
I don't know.
I hope the lawyer asks who you keep looking at when you answer questions, before you answer questions. That guy right there. Who are you looking at?
Do you recall when you spoke to officers about this before, telling them that you did not hear any comments about a knife when they drove down the road and everyone exited the vehicle?
Please repeat.
Do you recall telling officers when you spoke to them on September 1st that you do not recall hearing any comments about a knife when they drove down the road and everyone exited the vehicle?
Wrong answers only. What song were they
I'm
listening
not
to?
too sure what you're talking about.
Trouble by Taylor Swift.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Keenan, counsel just asked you a little bit about when the car goes down the street, people are getting out. There's this moment where you say you get out of the car and then you go sit by the curb. So I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. Car goes down the street. At what moment when the car goes down the street after the incident in front of 43 Laurel Glen, do you hear the defendant ask, Jack, where's the knife? Let me get the knife.
Objection, Your Honor. Asked and answered.
Well, this is redirect, so overruled.
Can you repeat that, please?
At what point do you hear in the timeline, right? To the best of your recollection, when you drive down the street towards Farmhouse Road, you say you get out of the car at some point and then you're close to the car and you sit on the curb. But do you hear the defendant ask for the knife as you're getting out of the car and then you go sit at the curb, or do you go sit at the curb and then come back closer to the car and hear the defendant ask for the knife?
It was before I sat on the curb.
So when you drive down the street, there's a conversation between the defendant and Jack Snyder where the defendant asks him for the knife prior to you getting out, or just as you're getting out of the car.
Yes, it was prior.
And when you get out of the car, after you hear that, when do you observe him looking inside the car for the knife?
It was prior to myself and others sitting on the curb.
And at some point after you witness him looking for the knife in the car, is that when you go sit by the curb?
Yes, it was after.
And when you're sitting by the curb, I think you indicated you were sitting on the curb on the, if I may approach, Your Honor. Did you indicate you were sitting on the curb, this is stage one, in front of what has been referred to as 36 Laurel Glen? You were somewhere in this area here after that conversation occurred between the defendant and Jack Snyder?
Yes, I believe so.
So if the record can reflect, I'm referring to the area in front of 36 Laurel Glen on the right side of the road.
Record can reflect.
So at some point in time, you're seated on the curb. Does the car move away from where you were seated on the curb?
The car does move away.
How far away does it move?
Well, it eventually went back. And
Okay. So when the car is in that area where you're seated, is it facing Farmhouse Road at this point, or is it facing Laurel Glen? I mean, facing Adams?
I can't exactly recall which way it was facing.
But at some point, the car
Turned around and must have turned.
The defendant, Jack, and Tyler get in that car, turns around and maybe goes back to 43 Laurel Glen?
They did go back.
So to the best of your recollection, the defendant asking for the knife happens after the incident in front of 43 Laurel Glen, but before they go back to 43 Laurel Glen.
And 43 Laurel Glen is the Rich household, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So the next thing I think you said on cross-examination that when counsel asked you, when did Lito ask for the knife, you said it happened before I went and sat on the curb and before Tyler Rich came over to talk. Is that right? Do you recall when the series of events?
Yes.
That's when it happened? Before Tyler Rich came down the street? Before there was that?
It was before they went back and after the car got surrounded.
Okay.
Outside the Rich household.
That's the best you can work with?
That is the best I can work with.
All right. Thank you.
That's my final answer, and I'm sticking to
Anything further by the defense?
Your song suggestions of what they were listening to as they drove away. Absolutely hilarious.
You were seated on the curb, and you claim you saw my client reaching into the glove box.
Not when I was on the curb.
Not when you were on the curb.
I just explained I wasn't on the curb.
You were in the car when you saw him reaching in the glove box.
I was within 2 feet, if not in the car, because I saw it with my own 2 eyes.
And that's how far my eyes can see.
You weren't on the curb. You weren't in the car.
I could have been in the car.
You could have been in the car. You could have been out of the car.
I saw it with my own 2 eyes and heard it.
And heard it with my own ears.
What did you see with your own 2 eyes?
The glove box and center console opened and rummaged through.
Was the defendant in the car or out of the car?
In the car.
Where was he seated?
I told you I don't remember.
It was reaching over the seat, past the passenger.
The vehicle dropped you off by the curb?
I got out of the car and sat on the curb.
You didn't walk a long distance from where you got out of the car?
I can't recall that.
Nothing further.
Any redirect?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, you're all set. Thank you. Watch your step as you exit the witness box.
Man.
All right, we'll take our afternoon recess, 15 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, the jury will take our 15-minute break. Thank you. Court stands in recess.
As they go to recess, there's...
May I see counsel for a moment?
Ooh, sidebar. There's really only one reaction that works for this, and that's...
Hell yeah.
Okay, first of all, your song suggestions of what let's just do that. Your song suggestions for what they were listening to as they're driving away are absolutely incredible. And when Amber, when he got back up on redirect, and it's all coming back to me now, oh my goodness. Ain't Talking by Bob Dylan. This is, can't hide your lying eyes. Is that the Eagles? I think that's the Eagles. Oh, man. Here's... dying, says the York. Here's the thing. You've got all these people testifying against the defendant, but the way they're testifying and the way they're all not recalling key elements, I think they're hiding something, like the truth from the jury. And I can't believe any of them. I have no clue what happened. You've got Mr. Long Arms Raul sitting in the back seat of the car next to the witness that we just heard from, Keenan, and suddenly he's rummaging through the glove box and the center console from the back seat looking for a knife. Hello? Try it sometime. Any car. You choose the car. You tell me. You sit in the back seat and tell me which car you can sit in and go through the glove box. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Stretch Armstrong Lido. That's what we had. Yeah. Yes, I think we're coming up to self-defense. I think that's what they're going to try for. And it's an uphill battle. I'll say it's an uphill battle. A couple things count against him. He's, first of all, 4 stabbings. Oops. That's a lot, right? Usually you want to go with the minimum necessary when you're using deadly force. 4 stabbings seems like a lot, especially when, the one who died, nobody's even said he was even involved in the fight, right? So defense has some hills to climb here. But man, prosecution, your witnesses are making it really easy for the defense to have a jury say, we just can't believe this case. I don't think they proved it beyond a reasonable doubt because we don't believe any of your witnesses except for the doctors. Everyone had 2 beers, though. 2 beers. Two beers. Except for the last guy, he had 3 because he's, he can handle his liquor. He asked for the knife, so the guy in front could have rummaged and found it for Lido. He says Lido was rummaging through it. I think they were parked and Lido was rummaging. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, go get your arms. For sure. They've circled the wagons around their friends. Joan, not only have they done this, and it's obvious as we listen to the testimony that they're, protecting their friends, but when they're asked directly on it, like, you wouldn't do anything, you wouldn't say anything that would get your friends in trouble, right? You're like, nope. They're like, my lips are sealed. They've told us, under oath, they've told us that I'm not going to do anything to get my friends in trouble. Yeah. Genjo says, I won't go into the details, but I've accomplished some things in a car. It's possible to reach the glove box from the second row. Genjo, thanks for just let people imagine. Donald King says, I was leaning guilty right now, but I'm back on the fence. I have to say, probably he's guilty. We've got a couple victims who recall exactly being stabbed by this guy. But man, I'm just not sure. If you look at the law, if the jury's looking at this and saying, we have to just determine if this was, in fact, was a reasonable response. Was this a reasonable response? Did he have any avenue of retreat? Or was that cut off? Was he in reasonable fear for his life? If they're doing it that way, it's going to be tough. But I think they can stop before then and say, we just don't know what happened that night. I can't believe anyone who's telling us this story. This kid could be framed for all we know. There's no knife. We don't have that. I know he's going to get up on the stand and he's going to own up to some of it. Some of it is my belief. I don't know that he's going to take the stand, but it's my belief he will. So, oh man, Levesque got 10 to 20 years for the snowplow self-defense. I don't know what we've done. We've got all the mods here, which is just amazing. Welcome all. It's good to have you all in the same place at the same time. I drank a whole pickle full of lemonade just now. This is a pickle mug, right? Which I've gone ahead and chipped already, by the way. But I drank the whole pickle full of lemonade. And the sugar crash is going to be terrible. But Snyder could get implicated if he gave him the fence. That's why he said the defendant was the one looking for the knife. Okay, so everybody, there are lawsuits going all over the place, okay? Everybody in where is this? Sheldon? I can't remember wherever it is. Connecticut. Everybody in this area is suing each other over this incident. There are lawsuits going every which way about this. And some of them, I believe, are still pending. So I'm sure everyone has talked to a lawyer. Like everyone we've seen here, except for the doctors, maybe even the doctors. Doctors might have talked to their legal team, but they've lawyered up a little bit, and they've been told, here's your story, here's what you recall, this is what you say. Anything else? The words are, I don't recall, I don't recall, I don't remember, I don't recall, and so everyone is playing that card, and it's terrible. It's terrible. We need to make a song about it. Was this a dead-end road? Not really. There was like a cul-de-sac on the end. It's hard to tell from the way the trees are. Maybe we'll have to get on the road and do Google Earth. Even the video doesn't seem right. The video doesn't show the beginning or the end of the fight. Shelton, Fairfield, Trumbull. Those are the locations. So that's the lawsuit trifecta right there. Because there's no start to the fight, I don't believe it was mutual planning. What's with the driver who's supposed to be driving him home? And then, oops, I'm taking you instead to a place where they want to beat you up? What? There's no talk. There's no talk. It's like, hey, driver, we're in. Go ahead, take us home. You know, tap the back of the hood, tap the car. We're in, go ahead. And he's like, nope. There's some guys that want to fight you. I'm going to drive you there. Where they're going to trash my car. Is it too late for the song suggestion, Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi? That's a good song. Worst Uber ever. Why do we not have the text messages? Why have we not subpoenaed those and got Celebrite to do their thing on somebody's phone? You know somebody's got it, right? So this kid managed to stab 4 kids by himself in a fight. Makes you wonder now if Koberger did the stabbing by himself. Suez. Where maybe he's going to be brought in as evidence. It's like, look, if somebody tries to say Brian Koberger couldn't have killed 4 people in the amount of time that he, the window that was available to him, just look at Raul. It could happen. Don't forget they stole a WD-40. It's because they use Signal, so everyone's encrypted. Oh, Connecticut, you can't bring... Connecticut's weird. Connecticut's different. Different is good. Hit Me One More Time by Britney Spears. There's Peter Gabriel. I don't remember. I don't recall. I've got no memory of anything at all. I'm sure their phones were rehomed. Cuts like a knife. In order for group text to come in, I believe everyone in it has to be identified. These texts could have been in a pretrial motion. We are going to be going on Courtroom Confidential tonight at 8 p.m. I'm going to be awake for this, I promise. Josh Ritter and I are going to talk about this very case briefly because, there's only so much to talk about. There seems to be memory snatchers in Connecticut. Beware. Okay, first of all, I've said first of all like 10 times today. I apologize. I'm going to strike that from my vocabulary. Alcohol and underage don't mix. They don't mix. No good comes from this, right? I think it's affected their brains. I think if we could count this as a study, we've analyzed a number of people who have partaken of alcohol, I would say regularly, while they were still in the developmental stage of life, meaning teenagers, and now their brains are like this. They can't remember anything. I think we can draw a connection here. I don't think any parents are charged, but there are some civil suits which could be huge settlements or huge financial penalties involved. 99 bottles of beer on the wall. Our lips are sealed by the Go-Go's. Yeah, second of all, let's do that. Let's do that one. Thank you, Thomas. Appreciate that. It's always been 2 beers. Oh, my goodness. I'm from Wisconsin. Can confirm. Have you taken copious amounts of notes when you dozed off? Meditation on this trial? No, Josh, I have not, and I'm struggling with some of the names. mostly I'm just trying to gather a general idea of what happened and the order it went in. And it sounds like there are 3 houses involved. The first, we've got the 3 players, right? There are 3 main players that are at a girl's house, and then they go from there, after some drinking occurred, to a second house where they said, hey, is it cool if we show up? And the resident, the youth who lived there, the teenager who lived there, said yes. They show up, but the message doesn't get down to the lower troops, and they get, pushed out by the bodyguards in the garage. They fight over the beer. One guy gets his butt handed to him, and then they go from there to this third house where they tell everyone what happened, and we got completely rolled and jumped, and that's not cool. And then the guys from the second house who rolled them show up to the third house, and then with 30 people out there wanting to fight them, they got out to fight. And one of them had a knife. Oh, man. I have to run my daughter to the dentist, but cow toots come from the derriere. Have a good day. Thank you, Thomas. Appreciate that. Celebrate could not review their texts as they were completely occupied. They were busy with the care case. Great lady, you've got a point here. A knife is it's often seen as an offensive weapon. Like it's somebody attacking. First of all, it's very personal, right? You're very close to somebody. You have to be right up next to them to attack. So unless there's a very clear delineation of events as they, that prove that you were, just defending yourself, you're like, back. You can't be like, my name is Inigo Montoya, you killed my father, prepare to die. You can't be that guy, or else it's definitely not self-defense. It sounds like he was that guy. We're not ending now. We've got another short little bit. I still feel bad. My 401, I got a 401k a long time ago. No, never mind. It's a Roth IRA. I've got 401ks from work. I got a Roth IRA a long time ago, and I've done about nothing with it. Like as soon as I put like the minimum in to open it, I've left it. And it's probably been, I don't know, 15 years. And so it's now worth like $3 more than it was before because of all the fees and everything else. And they call and they want to discuss the future of the Roth IRA and direction I want to go with it. And I thought it was a prank call. So I was all rude to him and everything. Oh, man. SC Girl, opening statements would have been beautiful in this, but we don't get them in Connecticut. Princess Bride is an awesome movie, as you wish. When you leave and come back to fight, it's not self-defense. Kat, I'm wondering if the fact that our Keenan guy didn't know they were going here, if he said, we just got driven here and dropped off, and we were trying to escape. It wasn't us trying to come back. We were trying to go home and leave this situation, and the driver, bad Uber driver, dropped us off here, left us high and dry. Maybe they can do that. We're not done for the day. Just got one break. We should be coming back here in just a couple minutes. What would you like to do with your $3? Just take it in fees like you do the rest of it. Do they do closings? I believe we do have closings in this one. Alleged victims. Raul. Raul allegedly stabbed Jimmy McGrath, who died. He was stabbed in the heart, basically. But if if all the stabbings happen sort of at the same time, then the video we see with Jimmy McGrath, like the last guy, sort of in the dark shirt and the white shorts, he must have already been stabbed at that point. I don't get how the witnesses at the beginning of the trial, they show the video and they're like, yeah, when the video stops, that's when they start yelling, he's got a knife, thinking that he brought it from the car. But everyone who got stabbed said, well, yeah, when I watched that video, that was after I got stabbed, which means the stabbings had to start pretty much as soon as the fight started, the stabbings had to start. It just doesn't make sense. No truth to the rumor that your hair naturally looks like that if you don't eat your broccoli. I don't know who said that. It's not connected in any way. No word he didn't plead. This is a mess. Oh, he's got a chance here. I'd say he definitely has a chance. He was just jabbing away with the knife. He hit who was near him. Oh, he must have been swinging wildly. Did they say they never found a knife? What if there was more than one knife? They never found the knife. We're coming back right now, though.
Go get the jury. Thank you.
Go get the jury.
Hell yeah, bro.
We are, Carol. Big sigh from the judge. Not counting those this time. That was a soundbite from earlier when they went to lunch. There was actually a long hot mic that I missed. I've got it, but I haven't played it all for you. It was quite the conversation.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Counsel, please stipulate to the return of our jurors.
State will stipulate, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Stipulate, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'll ask the state to please call its next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. State will call Dmitri Aranis to the stand.
Thank you.
Demetrius. I heard Aranis. Okay, I've called this out already, but the tear-off tabletop calendar things on the wall behind the clerk.
Good afternoon.
Please step up into the witness box, remain standing. The clerk is going to put you under oath. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Please raise your right hand, sir. Do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury? If so, please say I do.
I do.
Please state your full name, spelling your last name, and address for the record, sir.
Dmitri Aranis, Arafanis, 40C.
We don't need his address. 123 Sesame Street.
Demetrius, do us a favor. Just sit close to the microphone, speak loudly. These ladies and gentlemen need to hear you, okay?
All right.
Is it Demetrios or Dmitri?
The full name is Demetrius, but I go by Dmitri.
Okay. Do you mind if I call you Dmitri?
That's fine, yeah.
Dmitri, how old are you?
I'm 20.
And do you go to school?
I do.
Where do you go to school?
Clemson in South Carolina.
And what year are you?
I'm going into my junior year.
And do you know why you're here today?
I do.
And why are you here today?
To talk about what happened back in May 2022.
And have you and I met before?
We have.
Concerning this case?
Yeah.
Now, directing your attention to May 14th of 2022, how old were you back then?
I was 17.
And were you in school?
I was.
What school were you in?
St. Joseph's High School.
And where's St. Joseph's located?
In Trumbull.
And are you familiar with an individual by the name of Jack Snyder?
I am.
How are you familiar with him?
We went to the same school.
And are you familiar with an individual by the name of Tyler DeSilva?
I am.
And how are you familiar with him?
We also went to the same school.
And are you familiar with an individual by the name of Raul Valle?
I am.
And how are you familiar with him?
Went to the same school.
Is Raul Valle present in the courtroom today?
He is.
And what is he wearing?
A blue suit.
And can you please point him out for the record? Your Honor, may the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant in this case?
Record will reflect that the witness has identified Mr. Valle. Thank you.
Now, Dmitri, does the defendant have a nickname that he goes by?
We called him Lito.
And I want to direct your attention to that day, May 14th, 2022. Sometime earlier in the night, did you attend a party at 5 Lazy Brook Road?
I did.
Can you please tell us the circumstances surrounding you attending that party?
I went to have a good night with my friends.
And were you invited there?
Yeah, I believe so.
Who invited you?
The lifer, Austin lifer.
And when you got there, what time of day do you think it was?
It was probably like 9 o'clock.
So it was nighttime?
Yes, sir.
And when you got there, what kinds of things were happening at the lifer household?
People were just drinking, having a good time, talking, catching up.
And when you say drinking and having a good time, what were the things that people were drinking?
Beer, alcohol.
And were you drinking that night?
I was.
How much did you have to drink?
Not that much. A few drinks.
What were you drinking?
Beer, I'd say.
So you had about 2 beers maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. And at some point in time,
It's a bit leading.
Did you become aware of individuals from Shelton High School that arrived at the lifer household?
I found out after the fact. Okay. I never saw him.
So tell me the circumstances surrounding when you were there, what was going on, and then after the fact when you found out something had happened there.
So I was just in the basement and I found out that some kids had gotten in a fight, but I didn't see it or anything.
Where were you when the fight happened?
I was in the basement.
And do you know who the fight was between?
Not sure, no.
Not sure, okay. I'm going to show you this exhibit. I want you to tell me if you recognize anybody. State's Exhibit 53. Do you recognize anybody in this photo?
Yeah.
Who do you recognize?
Jack Snyder and Lido Valle.
Okay, which one is Jack Snyder?
In the red hoodie.
And which one's Lido?
In the blue Ole Miss t-shirt.
And you recall seeing the defendant dressed like this on May 14th of 2022?
I do.
And was he dressed like this the entire time he was at Lazy Brook?
The helmet wasn't always on, but for the most part, yeah.
So he was there with Jack?
Yeah.
Was Tyler De Silva also there?
Yes.
Now, tell us about how long were you there at Lazy Brook before you left?
Like an hour.
You were there for like an hour? And why did you leave Lazy Brook?
The mom kicked everyone out.
Okay. And when did you become aware that a fight had occurred at Lazy Brook?
Towards the end.
Towards the end?
Yeah.
Do you recall who told you?
No.
Do you recall everybody that was at that party that night?
No.
Is it safe to say they were all St. Joe's students?
Yeah.
Now, at some point in time, well, let me ask you this. How did you get to Lazy Brook?
My other friend drove me, but he left.
Which friend was that?
My friend Mickey.
Mickey?
Yeah.
Was he also Keenan's ride home?
Yes.
And why was he going to bring you and Keenan home?
Because we didn't want to drive, and he offered to drive us.
Were you supposed to go straight home that night?
Yeah.
Okay. Now
back to Keenan's.
I'm sorry?
I was sleeping at Keenan's that night.
Okay. And so Mickey left?
Yes.
When did Mickey leave? Do you recall?
Right when we got there. He didn't go in the house.
Okay. And he never came back to pick you up?
No.
And when the party got broken up that night, did you have a ride home when they kicked you out?
No.
So what did you do for a ride home?
Keenan told me that Jack had offered to drive us home.
So did you go and, in fact, get into Jack's car?
Excuse me?
Did you go with Jack that night?
Yes.
What kind of car was Jack driving that night?
A Honda Pilot.
Showing you State's Exhibit 30. Is that Jack's car?
It is.
And did you get into Jack's car with other people?
I did.
Who else was in the car with you when you were getting ready to leave Lazy Brook?
It was Jack, Tyler, Will, Keenan, Lito, Mackenzie, and myself.
Now you say Mackenzie. Who was Mackenzie?
It was Lito's girlfriend.
At the time?
At the time, yeah.
And you know her how?
It's just same school. We just mutual people.
And you say Will. Will who?
Will Sindwald.
And how do you know Will?
Again, we went to the same school.
So it was you, Keenan, Lito, Tyler, Jack, Mackenzie, and Will. Right?
Yes.
That's the Will twice?
Correct. I think so. Will twice. Yeah.
All right. So when you left Lazy Brook, withdrawn, prior to leaving Lazy Brook, did you become aware of a group chat that had started concerning the fight that happened at Lazy Brook?
No.
Now are you aware that there was a group chat that had happened that night?
I was aware when we were at Trumbull High, but not at Lazy Brook.
Okay. So at some point in time, when you left Lazy Brook, where did you go?
To Trumbull High.
And why did you guys go to Trumbull High School?
We were trying to find like another place to go to just to continue our night. And that was kind of like the closest spot.
And when you got to Trumbull High School, did you meet anybody there?
There was one other car there, yeah.
And who was there? Do you recall?
I don't know them.
Do you recall if they were girls or boys?
Girls.
Girls. And when you got to Trumbull High School, did you get out of Jack's car?
We did.
And when you got out of Jack's car, where did you go?
We just went to a fence for the bathroom.
Oh, you walked away from the car?
Yeah.
And when you were walking away from the car, were there people that stayed at the car?
I'd imagine, yeah.
Were you with anybody when you walked away from the car?
Yeah, I don't remember who though.
Okay. How long would you say you were at Trumbull High School for?
Like 20 minutes, not that long.
After 20 minutes had come and gone, did you leave Trumbull High School?
We did.
Why did you leave Trumbull High School?
It was lame.
I guess Jack and Tyler were talking to these kids and they were driving to their house.
So when you were leaving Trumbull High School, you were aware that the car was headed towards another house?
Yes.
Do you know what purpose that was for?
I did, yeah. They were having an issue with these other kids.
And when they were going to the house, do you know why they were going to the house?
To like go talk to them.
And why did they want, do you know why they wanted to talk to them?
To settle like the dispute or the issue that occurred prior.
At Lazy Brook?
Yeah.
So when you were headed over, did you in fact leave Trumbull High School and head over to that house?
Yes.
Do you recall whose house that was or where it was?
No, I was in the trunk.
You were in the trunk?
Yeah, so I didn't see any, like where we were going or anything.
They put the drunk kid
So
in the
it was
trunk.
dark out, you couldn't see where you were going?
Yeah.
So who was driving the car when you left Trumbull High School?
Jack Snyder.
Do you recall who was in the front passenger seat?
Tyler DeSilva.
And who was in the back seat?
Behind the driver was Lito and Mackenzie was on his lap. And then it was Will in the middle and Keenan behind the passenger seat, and I was in the way back.
So you were in the way back. So in the way back of this exhibit here, you were seated in that trunk area. Okay. So do you recall, let me show you States 49. Do you recall if this is the house that you pulled up to after you left Trumbull High School?
Yeah.
And there's a States Exhibit 1 behind you. Do you recall how you arrived at that house? If the red mark is 43 Laurel Glen, do you recall how you came into the neighborhood?
Yeah.
Can you show us?
We went down the road and did like a U-turn and came back to be facing Farmhouse Lane.
Okay, and did you stop in front of the house? Where did you stop?
Well, we did the U-turn, then we stopped in front of the house.
Okay, can you show us on States 49 where you stopped? Can you describe it?
We stopped like right before the driveway starts.
Okay.
A little farther from the curb.
So would you have been on the right side of the road or the left side of the road? Looking at States 49.
Closer to the middle, I'd say.
So, and you said before the driveway, would it be on the lower portion of 49 or the upper portion?
The lower.
So you were somewhere, if I put my finger here, is this about where you recall stopping the car?
Yeah.
Okay, so if the record can reflect, Your Honor, on States 49, my finger is pointed to the middle of Laurel Glen, just to the left of where the trees are, from the house across the street from 43 Laurel Glen, just above the intersection of Adams and Laurel Glen.
The same place everyone else is.
And when you stopped there, did you notice if anybody was outside at 43 Laurel Glen?
There was a few kids outside.
Few kids? Did you know any of those kids?
No.
At the time, did you know whose house this was?
No.
And when you stopped there, were you aware as to whether or not people from your car were communicating with people from that house through the group chat?
I knew they were texting, yeah.
And do you know the things that were being texted?
No.
Do you recall whether or not anybody indicated that you had arrived at the house?
I'm sure, yeah.
And at some point in time, did people come out of the house?
They were already out when we got there.
But did more people come out?
Yeah, they kept flowing in.
And when people came out of the house, tell us what happened when they came out of the house.
They just started talking with Jack and Tyler.
So they approached the car?
Yeah.
How many people approached the car, do you think, at that point?
Like 8, 9.
Okay. And Jack rolled down his window?
Yeah.
And they were talking with Jack?
Yeah. And Tyler.
And Tyler?
Yeah, they were all talking.
So on the other side of the vehicle also?
I'm not sure about that, but they were talking.
Or talking through the?
Yeah.
Okay. How would you describe, not what was said, but how would you describe the conversation between Jack, Tyler, and the people outside the car?
It was pretty peaceful at first, just talking.
And at some point, did it become not peaceful?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Somebody said something, I don't know what, and then Jack said something back. Again, I don't remember exactly the words. And then people started like hitting the car, throwing stuff at the car, and like I was in the trunk, so I saw some kid jumping on the back of the car up and down, shaking it. And then Jack drove off, and they were still like throwing stuff at the car.
Okay. And when Jack drove off, where did he drive to?
Down the street near farmhouse.
And when he got towards, so down towards farmhouse, where can you show us on stage one where did he stop the car?
Yes.
Where did he stop the car? Show me.
Like a few houses down.
Okay. So if I can approach the witness, show me. Do a point to them. Can you point to where you believe the car stopped?
Like about here.
And when the car stopped there, what happened when the car stopped there?
At first, some like kids approached the car from the house, and they were talking with like Jack and with Tyler and Lito again. And I think we drove off more, and then everybody got out of the car, and we like looked around the car.
So you go down the street. You have 30, 44.
Surveyed the
You go down the
damage.
street. Do people get out of the car initially?
Yeah.
Who gets out of the car initially?
Tyler and Lito.
Okay. And then what happens?
And then they were talking with some kids again, and then we drive farther down the street, and then everybody gets out the car and looks at the car.
Okay. And I'm going to show you States 44. Just play the, Sorry.
The AC guys here.
So do you remember this?
Third time today.
So see when people initially got out of the car?
Third time in 2 days.
The person that got out of the front passenger seat, do you know who that was?
No.
You don't know who that was?
I just can't tell now.
You can't tell from the video, but who was sitting in the front passenger seat when you drove down?
Tyler.
Tyler DeSola? And when he got out of the car, do you recall what he did when he got out of the car?
No.
No. So again, stage 44, does this fairly depict what happened when you initially went down the road?
Yes.
And at some point in time, some kids come down the road? Tell us about what happens when the kids come down the road.
I don't know. I didn't see that.
You didn't see that?
I saw it, but I didn't like hear what was going on.
So you were still in the car? When
Yes.
The car took off a little bit further? At some point in time, did you get out of the car?
I did, yes.
When you got out of the car, were there still kids from the Shelton house down the street?
No.
So between the time you were in the car and the time you got out, did you observe any interactions that were going on between the Shelton kids and Tyler and the defendant?
No.
Okay. So you can't tell us if they were peaceful or argumentative?
No.
Can you tell us if there was any physical fight that happened down the street?
Not that I saw, no.
Do you recall whether or not seeing anybody from the Shelton kids from the time you were in front of 43 Laurel Glen to the time the car went down the street, did any of them brandish any weapons?
No.
And when you got down the street, eventually everybody got out of the car?
Yes.
And they were inspecting the car?
Yes.
Tell me about that. What was going on when people were inspecting the car?
So we all get out the car. We look and see that there was some dents and stuff and scratches from how they were hitting it and throwing stuff. And then the defendant asked for a knife.
So tell me about that. When did that happen in relation to looking at the car?
That, like, right when he saw the car.
And how was the defendant
Hang on.
acting when he was inspecting the car?
Pretty upset.
How upset? Explain. Describe it to me.
He was yelling.
What was he yelling?
I don't remember the exact words.
Was he cursing?
I don't remember.
Did he act like he was peaceful?
No.
Did he act more upset than Jack and Tyler?
Yes, in the moment.
Based on the way the defendant was reacting, did it appear that how did it appear? Did he want to go and talk to those kids?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Did the defendant say anything with regards to wanting to go back and talk to those kids?
Yeah.
What did he say?
I don't remember the exact words, but it was like, let's go back.
And did it appear that he was acting in an aggressive manner?
Yes.
How did he appear? How was he acting?
He was mad. He was yelling and stuff. I don't remember the exact words that he was saying.
Was he acting?
He was mad. He was yelling and stuff. I don't remember the exact words that he was saying.
Having some sound issues.
At what point did he ask for the knife?
Right after we went out the car and inspected it, the damage.
Do you recall who he asked for the knife?
I think it was Jack.
And do you recall whether or not a knife was given to him or found?
No.
Did you ever see a knife that night?
No.
After the defendant asked for the knife, how long was this inspection and asking for the knife going on for?
A few minutes.
Few minutes? At some point in time after the defendant asks for the knife, what happens after that?
The defendant, Jack, and Tyler get back in the car and drive back down to the house.
And at this point in time, it's just the three of them in the car?
Yes.
So where are you, Will, Keenan, and Mackenzie?
We're still on the side of the curb by the other house I just pointed out.
So are you on the curb? So my point where? Or are you on this side of the road? You recall what side of the road you're on?
We're on this side of the road, around here.
Okay. And you waited there?
Yes.
Why did you wait there?
Because I don't want to go back.
Why didn't you want to go back?
Because I don't want to get in a fight with these kids that I don't know.
So at some point in time, the car leaves.
Yes.
Do you hear what goes on down the other end of the street?
All I heard was some people screaming.
And how long do you think the car was down the other end of the street?
Not that long, like 5 minutes.
And when we're talking about the other end of the street, are we talking about going back towards 43 Laurel Glen, or are we talking going the other way when you say go down the street?
They go back down to the house that we were at.
So so this states 49. They go back to this house?
Yes.
Did you see the car stop in front of the house from where you were seated?
No.
How do you know that they were down there?
I assume so.
Okay. And they were down there for 5 minutes, you said? And you heard screaming?
Yes.
Now, when you were waiting down the other end near Farmhouse Road or down the other end of Laurel Glen, did you have a ride home at that point?
No.
Did you have an idea of how you were going to get home at that point?
No.
At some point in time after 5 minutes passes, does the car return?
Yes.
And when the car returns, tell me about that. What happens?
The car returned and we didn't have a ride and we were about to get back in the car to leave. And I see Tyler all beat up and bloody. He could barely form words. And at the same moment, Mackenzie, she'd called her sister previously and her sister drove up and Mackenzie told us to get in her car.
So did you get in Mackenzie's car?
Yes.
And who else got in Mackenzie's car?
At first, only me and Keenan, and then Lito also got in the car.
And when Lito got in the car, did you have an opportunity to observe him?
Not really, no.
And on the ride home, who got dropped off first?
Me and Keenan.
And on the ride home, after you got dropped off, were you made aware of what had happened down the street at some point in time?
A lot later, yeah.
And when you were made aware later of what had happened, did the police contact you?
Not right away. No, it was a few days after.
A few days after. And did you in fact go to speak to the police?
I did.
Do you remember if you spoke to them on more than one occasion?
I did.
And when you spoke to the police, did you tell them exactly what you told us here today?
I did.
No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Attorney Smith.
Pretty truthful. Now we understand why we've got 7 people in the car at one time, 3 people in the car at another. Corroborates the whole he was asking for a knife.
Mr. Aranis. We've never met before.
We have not.
We've never discussed this case before.
We have not.
Did you say that you are going to Clemson University?
I am.
In South Carolina?
I am.
You were telling us about this evening, and I want to ask you a few questions about that, okay?
All right.
You started off the evening at 5 Lazy Brook, right?
Correct.
And you were invited there by Austin Leifer.
Correct.
Did you see Austin there that night?
I did.
Did you see him ill, throwing up outside?
I did not.
When you saw him, did he appear to be ill?
He was drunk, yeah.
Okay. Anybody else appear to be drunk there that night?
I assume most people were drinking. I wouldn't say anybody was out of the ordinary.
Okay.
They ordinarily drunk?
He said people were drinking, having a good time. There was beer and some alcohol. You didn't have that much to drink yourself.
Did not.
But you had arranged to have a ride home because you didn't want to be drinking and driving. Is that fair to say?
Correct, yeah.
You never saw these other kids that arrived and the fight went down, right?
No.
But you did see Mr. Snyder and Mr. Valle and Mr. De Silva there, right?
I did.
You didn't see them fight with anybody there?
I did not.
And you were there for about an hour, you told us.
Correct.
And then Mama Leifer kicked everybody out.
She did.
And you told us you were driven there by Mickey?
Correct.
Is his name Mickey or Michael? Is Mickey a nickname?
Okay. Yeah.
And you were supposed to go straight to Keenan's, right?
After, yeah.
Because that's where you're going to spend the night,
That's
right?
where I was sleeping, correct.
And the plan was that you were going to stay at the 5 Lazy Brook Road party, and that was going to last until the end of the night. And then at the end of the night, you were going to go home to Keenan's.
Correct.
Okay. And so now you've been left in the lurch because the party has ended before it was supposed to, right?
Yes.
But you get a ride from Jack Snyder.
I did.
Okay? And you hop into that car with 6 other people, right? It's you, Jack, Tyler De Silva, Will Sinjwald, Raul Valle, Mackenzie Traficante, and Keenan Frasick, right?
Correct, yeah.
And as far as the positions in the car, you told us Jack Snyder was driving.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler De Silva was the front passenger.
Yes.
In the back seat behind the driver was Raul Valle, correct?
Correct.
In his lap was Mackenzie Traficante, right?
Correct.
Beside him was Will Sinjwald, correct?
Correct.
And to the right, farthest, behind the passenger, close to the door, that was Keenan Frasick, right?
Yes.
And you got stuck in the back in the trunk, right?
I did.
Was there anything back there with you in the trunk, or was it just you?
It was some stuff. I don't remember
Spare
what it was,
tire.
like some bats.
Some bats.
Like for softball, I think he had a sister.
Okay. Did those stay in the car the whole time?
They did.
Good thing.
And because the night had ended earlier than expected, you guys went to Trumbull High School, right?
Correct.
In order to try and figure out if there was something else that you could do that night.
Yes.
And when you got there, there were some girls there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recall that there was also another car there, a BMW, a white BMW with maybe 2 other guys in it?
Not really, no.
You don't recall that?
No. I remember the one car.
I'm sorry?
The one car, because they were parked right next to us.
Parked right next to you. And when you got out of the car, you said you went to use the bathroom?
I did.
Were you, after you used the bathroom, you were there for another 20 minutes or so?
I'd say so, yeah.
And were you with Keenan the whole time?
Well, I was with everyone, not just Keenan.
Okay. You, Keenan, Will,
Lito, Jack, Tyler, Mackenzie.
all in a group together?
Yeah.
You don't recall splitting up and some people go in one place, some people go in another?
No.
Did you see Keenan drinking that night?
I don't remember him specifically drinking, but I knew he was just from, being at a party with him.
Okay. And it was Keenan who told you that Jack Snyder had offered the ride, right?
Yes.
Were you concerned at all getting in that car with Jack Snyder?
No.
Were you concerned getting in that car that Tyler De Silva and Raul Valle were in there?
No.
You said his nickname is Lido. Do you know what that nickname means?
No.
That's not a nickname that he had been given by you or other kids at the school?
No, that's what I was introduced to him as freshman year.
Gotcha. And you said while you were at Trumbull High School, you became aware of this group chat that was going on, right?
Yeah.
You weren't a part of that group chat?
No.
How did you become aware of the group chat?
Just from them talking about it.
When you say them talking about it, Jack Snyder?
Jack and Tyler, yeah.
Jack and Tyler. And you were in the back in the trunk?
Correct.
So you could hear what Jack and Tyler were talking about up in the front of the car?
Parts and pieces, yeah. Not like, I knew they were talking in this group chat. I couldn't really get a grasp of exactly what they were talking about though.
Was this talking that you're describing, was this going on in the car or was this while you were at Trumbull High School in the parking lot?
In the car at Trumbull High.
Okay. But when you were there at Trumbull High, you all got out of the car at some point?
I don't know if everyone got out. I got out.
You got out. Did you get out of the car? Everybody stayed in the car and then you came back to the vehicle?
It wasn't just me getting out the car. Okay. Multiple people got out the car. I just don't remember exactly who.
Okay. Ultimately, you weren't able to find another place to go as far as you knew, right?
Yeah.
And did you think when you got back into the vehicle, ultimately to leave Trumbull High School, that you were going to go to Keenan Frasick's house at that point?
I don't remember.
At some point, though, you told us you became aware that, in fact, you were not going to Keenan Frasick's house, right?
Yeah.
And you thought that you were going to, Jack was driving this vehicle because Jack and Tyler were talking with these other kids and wanted to go talk to them to settle a dispute, right?
Yeah.
This was an older Pilot, had the gear shift on the steering column.
And so how long did that drive take to get from Trumbull High School to where you've described the car ultimately stopping at Laurel Glen Drive?
Like 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Not for sure, though.
Any drinking going on in the car while that's happening?
I don't remember.
Loud music being played in the car?
I'd imagine, yeah.
You'd imagine or you remember it? I don't want you to imagine anything.
When we would drive, we'd have music on, so I don't know why it'd be any different.
Okay. Do you recall whether or not there was loud music being played?
Yeah.
Loud enough that you couldn't hear what was going on up in the front of the car?
Yeah, I wasn't talking to anyone.
Okay, you were just sitting in the back?
Yeah.
Did you see the vehicle being followed by a white BMW?
I don't remember that now.
And then I think you described on Exhibit 1 there, if you look behind you, can you see Exhibit 1?
I can.
Okay, and the vehicle came down Adams Drive and went up to the end of the cul-de-sac and turned around?
That's not how I remember it. I remember driving down past the house in Laurel Glen and then doing a U-turn.
Okay, can you use the pointer there and show us what you recall?
I think that we went down here and did like a U-turn around here and came back down that way.
Okay, and ultimately the car came to a stop initially in front of Tyler Rich's house, 43 Laurel Glen Drive, right?
Yes.
And you said when the car came to a stop, or let's back up just a second. As you drove by the first time before taking the U-turn, did you look into the yard of 43 Laurel Glen?
I did.
And you could already see people out there, right?
Yeah.
Did it seem like they were waiting and expecting you to come?
Yeah. They knew you were coming.
They knew you were coming?
Uh-huh.
How many people did you see?
That's speculative.
Sustained. Sustained. I'm going to strike the response to the question that was asked by the attorney, that they knew that they were coming. Okay, so please strike that from the evidence. Thank you.
You could see the people in the yard?
I could.
From their demeanor, did they appear to be surprised to you that the car was there?
No.
And how many people did you see in the yard?
Like 8 or 9.
Could it have been more?
It could have, yeah. People kept flowing in afterwards too, so more people came out after we got there.
Did the crowd quickly grow?
Yeah.
And how many people ultimately would you say were there?
I couldn't give you like a number, but it was more than 8 or 9 at the end.
Okay. And they started to swarm the car, right?
Initially, not aggressively. They just came up to the car to talk.
Okay, that was the initial 8 or 9 or more than that?
The initial like 8 or 9.
And when they came up to the car to talk, they came up as a group?
They did, yeah.
And were they all on one side of the car or did they surround the car?
I think it was surrounded, yeah.
Okay. And where was your attention focused at that point?
I was looking like towards the house through like the little window in the back.
All right. So not through the very rear window you're saying, but through a side window that was looking at the house.
Yeah.
Okay. And as you were watching that, you saw this initial group approach the vehicle, correct?
Correct.
And you were watching and you could see more people coming behind, correct?
Yes.
And those people were also coming at the car, correct?
Yes.
And you said that some of those people started talking with Jack Snyder and Tyler De Silva, right?
Correct.
Do you know who those people were?
No, never met them.
These people were all strangers to you that were at the 43 Laurel Glen Drive?
Yeah, all of them.
And you described that the conversation was peaceful at first.
It was.
Could you hear what was being said?
Not really, no, but I know it was in an aggressive manner.
Were the windows in the vehicle up or down?
Jack's was definitely down. I don't know about the rest.
Did any of the people in the back seat just in front of you, did any of them get out of the car?
No, not in the beginning, when we drove down afterwards.
Okay, let's focus on where we are right now, just in front of the house, okay? Right. None of them got out of the vehicle at that point?
Nobody, no.
Okay. And you described that eventually the conversation was peaceful at first, but then it became less peaceful, shall we say?
Yeah.
Okay. And that was because the folks that came out of 43 Laurel Glen said something, you're not sure what.
I'm not.
And then Jack said something back, you said.
Yeah.
Do you know what Jack said back?
No.
Was Tyler saying anything back?
At that point, they both started talking back and forth more aggressively with the people outside. I don't remember exact words.
Was Mr. Valle talking with anybody outside the car?
Not really, no.
Will Sinjwal talking with anybody outside the car?
No.
Keenan Frasick talking with anybody outside the car? At this point, were there people on all sides of the vehicle?
Yeah.
And people started hitting the car?
Yes.
People started throwing stuff at the car?
Yes.
Could you hear things shatter or smash?
Yes.
You saw a kid on the back of the car?
Yes, jumping up and down.
How he was just on the other side of where you were seated in the trunk?
Yeah.
Just one kid, a few kids?
Just one.
Okay. How long did that go on for?
Like a minute, and then Jack drove off.
How did you feel back there?
Wasn't a fun experience.
You're scared?
Yeah.
Terrified?
Sure.
And eventually the car drove off, you told us.
It did.
And that vehicle is this vehicle that we see here in State's Exhibit 30, right?
Correct.
And when you got in the vehicle that night, it did not have this defect on the front windshield, did it?
It did not.
Did you ever see anybody reach into the driver's side window?
I did not.
Did you ever see anybody lean in their upper half of their body into the driver's side window and struggle with Jack Snyder?
I did not know.
Are you certain that people were surrounding the car and jumping on it?
Yes.
The car drove off and stopped. I think you've described it as being just a little bit before 36 Laurel Glen Drive there. Can you point it out to us? Do you have the pointer there?
Like right here.
In that area, okay. And that's what we saw on the video that was played for you, Exhibit 44?
Yes.
And there were 3 people that we saw get out of the vehicle at that point, right?
I thought it was just 2, but...
Did you see one person get out and walk ahead of the vehicle and then 2 people remain behind the vehicle, sort of?
I saw 2 people for sure. I don't remember a third, no.
Okay. There were only 7 of you in the car, though, right?
Correct, yeah.
You didn't pick anybody else up at any other point?
No.
None of the folks from Trumbull High School got in your car and rode with you?
No.
Okay. And when those people got out, you were still in the trunk area?
Correct.
And you saw in the video that people came chasing down the street, right?
Yes.
Do you recall seeing them do that while you were in the car?
Yes. And
do you recall things being thrown at the vehicle while that happened?
Yes.
Could you hear what was being shouted from inside the car?
No.
Okay. And when that car got out, and we saw that on the video in 44, you think that was Tyler De Silva and Raul Valle who got out of the vehicle?
Correct.
Do you think there was another person who also got out of the vehicle?
I only remember 2 people getting out.
Okay. Those people got out, and then the car continued on down the road, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So when that vehicle stopped there where you showed us before, and those people got out, can you point to that again for us?
Like right here.
Okay. And then the car, you remained in the vehicle and it drove forward.
Correct.
It came to a stop again.
It did.
Can you show us where it came to a stop again?
Probably like around here.
Not that far down.
Not that far down, but in front of that house there?
Yeah.
And then you've described yourself as getting out of the car at that point.
Yes.
You went and sat where?
By the curb, like along this curb here.
Close on the side of that house again?
Yes, on this side of the, on this side.
And where did the vehicle stop at that point?
Same spot.
Like same spot?
Yeah.
In front of that house?
Correct.
But we don't see it on that video when it does that.
What do you mean?
That you just watched Exhibit 44, the video where the people get out of the vehicle?
Yes.
And we didn't see that vehicle come to a stop and you get out. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I did not get out then.
Those folks that had chased the car, did they continue to follow it as it went down the road with you still in it?
No.
Where did they go?
They went back to the house.
Okay. They didn't ever come down and talk to any of the people that were down there?
No. They, like I said, they came up to talk to Tyler and Lito. They did not come back when I got out the car, though. They were nowhere near me.
Okay. So when you're sitting on the curb and the vehicle is stopped by the intersection of Farmhouse Lane and Laurel Glen Drive, you're sitting over there with Keenan Frasick, Will Sinjwald, and Mackenzie Traficante?
Correct.
And the 4 of you are sitting close together, right?
Yes.
How far away was the vehicle from you at that point?
A few steps.
Just a few steps?
Yeah, not far at all.
It didn't move from that position?
No.
And this conversation that you've described as being had between the Shelton High kids and Mr. Valle and Mr. De Silva, that had already occurred at that point before you got out of the vehicle yourself?
Yeah.
And you say that those kids all went back to the house. You didn't see them anymore?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm just soaking in all the testimony with my eyes shut. It helps me focus.
So Mr. Valle and Mr. De Silva, at least, and maybe one other person that we saw in the video who you're not sure it is, they had already gotten out of the car before you got out of the car.
Correct.
And before Mackenzie and before Will and before Keenan got out of the car, correct?
Yes.
But Jack was still driving the vehicle at that point?
Yeah.
So Jack drove up and parked the vehicle, correct?
Correct.
And then Mr. Valle and Mr. Silva came walking down to the vehicle?
Yeah.
Okay. And you could see all of these people?
Mm-hmm.
Which way was the vehicle facing at that point?
Still facing down this way, like it was facing that way.
It was facing towards Farmhouse Lane?
Yeah.
You were looking at the rear of the vehicle where you had previously been sitting?
Yeah.
How did you get out of the vehicle? Through the rear hatch, or did you climb over the seat?
I climbed over.
And you said that you saw Mr. De Silva, Mr. Snyder, and Mr. Valle inspecting the car.
We all were, not just them. Like me, Keenan, and Will too.
So you got up off of the curb and went over to look at the car?
Yeah.
Okay. So now you are not just sitting on the curb with Mr. Frasick and Ms. Traficante and Mr. Sinjwald. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
You actually got up and went over to the car with those 2 folks?
Yeah, and we checked it out.
Okay. And you saw some dents and some scratches?
Yeah.
And you claim you heard Mr. Valle ask for a knife?
He did, yeah.
Where were you standing when that happened?
Near the rear of the car.
Near the rear of the car. Where was Mr. Valle when that happened?
Also, like, in the same area.
Near the rear of the car?
Yeah.
Where was Mr. Frasick when that happened?
Next to me.
Next to you?
Yeah.
And where was Mr. Sinchwald?
Also next to me.
Okay. And then you saw Mr. Valle go tearing through the glove box, right?
I never saw that, no.
You saw him go tearing through the console, right?
I never saw that, no.
You didn't see Mr. Valle go tearing through the glove box on the console?
I did not.
Looking for a knife?
Sustained.
Mr. Frasick was right beside you?
Correct.
And you said Mr. Valle was more upset than Jack.
Yeah.
Had you seen at any point in that evening Mr. Snyder with a knife?
I did not, no.
And you can't remember Mr. Valle's exact words, but you said he was mad and he was yelling.
Yeah.
What was Mr. Snyder doing?
He was also very upset that his car had dents and scratches on it.
And what was Mr. De Silva doing?
His car or his dad's?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
You didn't see a knife at any point?
No.
And you said you were down there for a few minutes?
Yeah.
Did you go back and sit on the curb?
Yeah.
How soon after you claimed to have heard Mr. Valle ask for the knife did you go sit on the curb?
After he asked, they went back and I sat there to wait.
Okay. And so you're sitting on the side of the curb when you see Mr. De Silva, Mr. Snyder, and Mr. Valle get back into the vehicle.
Correct, yeah.
It's still facing down towards Farmhouse Lane at that point.
Yeah.
Mr. Snyder got in the driver's side.
Correct.
Mr. De Silva got in the front passenger side.
I don't remember where he was sat at that point.
Do you remember where Mr. Valle got into the car?
No.
And did Mr. Frasick go back and sit down on the curb with you at that point?
Yeah.
So Mr. Frasick wasn't sitting on the curb the entire time. He came with you to where the car was to inspect it, and then he went back and he sat down on the curb.
We were all like around the car, yes. Then we sat down.
And you said you couldn't see where the car went, but it headed off in the direction of 43 Laurel Glen.
Yeah, yeah.
And that eventually the car returned, and you could see that Mr. De Silva was all beat up, right?
Correct, yeah.
He was bloody.
Yes.
And you said he could barely form words.
Yeah.
Could you see injuries to his body or his face?
His face was definitely swollen.
Any other injuries that you could see that were apparent?
No.
But just blood?
Yeah.
And you also told officers on May 16th that you could see a cut on Mr. Valle's head, correct?
I don't remember saying that now.
Do you recall in Madison's car seeing a cut on Mr. Valle's head?
I don't know.
You don't recall that?
I do not know.
You don't deny that you said that, you just don't recall it?
Yeah, right now I don't recall a cut on his face.
And you've told us here that you heard Lito asking if there was a knife. Do you recall telling officers when you were interviewed that you think somebody was asking for it? You think that was Lito?
No.
You're certain that that was him?
Yeah, for sure.
Then you told us that Mr. Valle got in the car with you into Madison Traficante's car, right?
Yeah.
And where was Mr. Valle sitting?
Behind the passenger seat.
And where were you sitting?
Behind the driver's seat.
Okay, so you were sitting on opposite sides of the vehicle?
Correct.
And who was sitting in between you, if anyone?
Keenan.
And where was Mackenzie?
In the passenger seat.
Okay. So in the back seat, it's you, Keenan, and then Mr. Valle.
Correct.
Did you get a good view of Mr. Valle?
Not really. It was dark.
Okay. Could you see when he got into the car whether or not he had any injuries?
No, he looked fine to me.
He looked fine to you?
Yeah.
Didn't appear to be bleeding?
No.
Didn't appear to be maybe not as battered as Mr. De Silva?
He was not. He was not like Tyler at all.
I think we're about done for the day.
And on the way home, was it quiet in the car?
Yeah.
Nobody was talking?
Keenan just asked Lito what happened, and that's a.
And
Mr. Valle didn't respond?
He said.
Objection calls for hearsay.
It's
What the defendant said?
that's
Yes.
exception to hearsay.
Self-serving.
It's a statement of a party opponent, counsel.
But it's
What Mr.
self-serving.
Valle said?
It's self-serving because the defense is asking.
What Mr. Valle said?
What the defendant said.
What the defendant said?
Yes.
Oh. So
Yeah, you can't do it because you're asking for
it's
it.
self-serving at this point.
Right.
So I'm going to sustain the objection. Thank you.
So you heard talking in the car?
Yeah.
You never saw a knife that evening, correct?
I did not know.
But you claim that you heard Mr. Valle asking for a knife.
Yes.
And who was he asking for a knife?
Jack.
Did you see Jack Snyder with a knife?
I did not.
Nothing further. Thank you.
There we go.
Can you redraft?
Yes.
Nothing further from the state. Your Honor.
No. Okay.
All right. You can exit the witness. Thank you.
Thank you.
I like this witness.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the jury, we are going to be adjourning in just a moment. Again, I'm going to remind you to abide by the rules of juror conduct that I've repeatedly gone through with you and described to you at the beginning of the trial and at the end of our last day of evidence. I just want to let you know that tomorrow we intend to have a half day of evidence, so you will come at your normal time, and we would be adjourning by 1 o'clock tomorrow, okay? Most likely before then, but by 1. So that would allow you to at least take a look at your schedules. And I told you I would continue to keep you apprised of any changes in our schedule. So we will have a half day evidence tomorrow. Have a good night. We'll see you back tomorrow morning. Thank you.
And there they go. There they go. They're done. And so the microphone's been turned off so we don't get any more hot mic issues. Last time we got a hot mic, it didn't go very well. Well, actually it went well for one guy because he's like,
Hell yeah, bro.
That was him during the lunch break. There was actually a ton before that. They were talking about the bailiffs, and there was a lot. We might go into and play that. We've got that. So, all right. Thank you for letting me get a little nap this afternoon and for catching me up on what I missed. Just kidding. I am exhausted. I'm tired, but I have to be on my A game for tonight. We are going to be on Courtroom Confidential tonight at 8 p.m. talking about this case. So it's, I don't know what to say other than just, it's going to be like, hey kids, don't drink. That's what we're going to talk about. I think that's going to be it. But Courtroom Confidential tonight at 8 p.m. We do have the podcast tomorrow. Please be here for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can already see we've got a very interesting story on the list. The heat is brutal. I think the AC guy is here right now. He showed up at 4. He's still working, trying to clear that line so that, we're still working on it. Hopefully the AC. It was 112 degrees. Was the air coming out of our vent yesterday? As long as it's colder than that, I mean, it got down to 90 last night upstairs. Got down to 90. That is too hot. It's too hot. All right. Yeah, it was so hot. Get a little rest. Now I need to go paint. We're going to paint the bathroom. I've committed to Mrs. R.A. We're going to have the toilet installed in here by the end of the week. That's the goal. So if I can get the paint done today and get it done in one coat maybe, one coat, fingers crossed for that, because we've got the primer that's been tinted the same color so that it should be all right. One coat with the paint primer, or the paint, and then lid on the floor. And hey, the AC guy is leaving. And my wife's saying, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So that must be really good. All right. Sent a picture of my new outdoor. Yes, AWOL, I saw that. My new crazy about the heat is worse. It's absolutely nuts. Now you can paint tomorrow afternoon. You need a cat nap before tonight's podcast. I can paint now. Let's get that done. Get the paint drying. If the paint dries and it's too hot to sleep tonight, I could install flooring tonight. I mean, I'm not sleeping anyway. So what we do when the bathroom is over, celebrate. It's going to be like party, like that. It's going to be a celebration. But hope it gets to cool off. I'm actually doing okay. I've got a fan right here that's been blowing on me all day. It's only about 80 degrees in my office, which is great. But I know some of you guys are suffering through some intense heat, and please stay safe. At least I've got the downstairs to cool off in. But we'll need a bathroom tour. I moved the lighting. Like, I took the lights down and shined in different directions, and I thought I had done a good job on the sanding of all the drywall and the mud and everything. Maybe not so good. I think we're going to go with, we have a textured wall now instead of just smooth, but it's just uniquely textured areas. Anyway, we'll get this fixed. We're going to be done. Tomorrow, a half a day. What are we going to do tomorrow? Well, obviously more bathroom work. We'll do some flooring. Let's see. REC went out yesterday. Another good news. We have a new son-in-law who was an HVAC. Got us up and running by last night. That was awesome. I told Mrs. R.A. yesterday, I said, I'm cool with getting a hotel room if you want to. We can do a staycation and hit the hotel in our own hometown. What's the rush for one coat? I just want to get it done. Amber comes in with the outro. Tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love, smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better. And please stay safe till we go live again tomorrow morning for a half a day. Plus. Don't forget, tonight we actually have a portal open so we can move you over to Courtroom Confidential. When you land there, do a couple things. First of all, like the stream. Make sure you click the subscribe button and ring the bell. That way you're going to be notified when we go live and you'll be able to join us on that one. Always love being able to hang out with Josh. Appreciate the invite. So that's it. So Courtroom Confidential tonight, half a day tomorrow, podcast tomorrow night, and lots of bathroom remodel in between. So, thank you all. Have a great day. Stay cool. Please stay cool. Stay safe. We'll see you tomorrow. And tonight.
Hell yeah, bro. Come on, we deserve it.
Because he's the guy.